I was sitting in an internet cafe, playing League of Legends like every other internet-addicted teenager on Earth. My buddy was screaming at our Malphite to use his Q, and I was busy dodging a Yasuo with my Zed mid lane, pulling off sick moves. Ghostblade active. Can't see me. Watch this juke. Then I did this big, flashy move with my arm and knocked over a cup of water right into the exposed wiring under the desk. There was a loud zap. A giant electric snake jumped out of the cables and slapped me across the face, and everything went black. My last thought. I almost had first blood, man. I was so close. While I was dying, some mysterious voices were mumbling stuff I couldn't understand. Something about picking the wrong person, me being too weak to even handle lightning, and how the guy next to me had a way better destiny. Real encouraging stuff. They basically shrugged and said, well, let's see what happens. I don't know how long I was out, but when I started waking up, my whole body was freezing and numb. Then pain, absolute ripping, tearing agony everywhere. I almost blacked out again. I tried to curse, but what came out of my mouth was, roar, growl, gurgle, rawr. I reached up to cover my mouth and felt long, cold, hard, razor-sharp teeth. My hand was rock solid too. I panicked and tried to stand up, but my limbs weren't cooperating. My body was ignoring every command my brain sent. I just rolled around on the ground like an idiot until I tumbled next to a puddle. I looked down and saw my reflection. Long, thin neck covered in pitch-black scales. Sharp claws. Crimson eyes. A vicious dragon head staring back at me. I was a dragon. A black dragon. And not even a cool one. I was the skinny, beat-up, bargain bin version. The kind that lives in swamps and spits acid. Literally the weakest color dragon besides white. Dragon tier bottom feeder. The memories of this body's original owner came flooding in. His name was Vatras, 22 years old, a juvenile swamp black dragon, level 30, tier 3. He was born with his front claws fused to his wings, so his own family called him a freak and kicked him out of the nest as a baby. He barely survived to teenager stage. And here's the kicker. Instead of collecting gold like normal dragons, this genius collected romance novels. Human storybooks. He read all these tales about powerful evil dragons kidnapping princesses and thought, yeah, that's gonna be me. So this absolute moron flew to a small human kingdom and threatened the king. Give me your beautiful princess or I destroy everything. The king said, sure, come back in 3 days. But what did the king actually do? He sent messengers to a stronger kingdom and hired a tier 3 archmage. Vatras showed up at the altar 3 days later, saw the princess, and walked right into an ambush. Soldiers everywhere, fireballs raining down. He grabbed the princess and ran for his life, took several fireball explosions to the back, barely made it home, and died. And that's where I came in. I looked around the dark, damp cave and noticed I wasn't alone. Near a wall covered in purple moss, there was a little girl with fox ears and a fox tail, white hair, red jewel-like eyes, porcelain skin. She looked like a living doll. She was wearing a fancy princess dress, though it was dirty and singed at the edges. She was curled up and staring at me in pure terror, tears all over her face. Yeah, that's no princess. What human king has a fox-eared daughter? She was just bait. A sacrifice. A decoy the king threw at a dragon so his soldiers could ambush it. I tried to walk over to her, maybe say hello, but my wrecked body seized up and I face-planted straight into the ground. I couldn't even take care of myself, let alone worry about someone else. I was lying there, broken, bleeding, stuck in a cave in some sword and sorcery world, thinking, how am I going to survive this? When 3 electronic chimes went off in my head. Ding. Hello host, war plunder system at your service. Ding. Hello host, evolution modification system at your service. Ding. Hello host, evil villain system at your service. Ding. Too many systems detected. Initiating fusion. Fusing. 3 systems at once? Okay, maybe I'm not completely screwed after all. 3 system windows were floating in my vision, each with a different style, and I was honestly a bit stunned. But then excitement kicked in. Systems. The golden cheat code every transmigrator gets. And I got 3 of them. Am I the chosen dragon, or what? Before I could even ask what they do, they started merging. A moment later, a new notification popped up. Ding. Fusion complete. Current system. Ultimate Invincible Self-Modification Super Evolution Plunder War Evil Dragon System. Abbreviated Evil Dragon System. That name is absurdly long. What the hell? I tried asking what it does, and the system told me I don't even need to speak out loud. Just think at it. Then it dumped a wall of info on me. Function 1. Special Enhancement. Originally called Special Female NPC Amplification System, but got renamed because it didn't pass the recent review. Each special female NPC I acquire gives me system points plus at least one buff or ability. Function 2. Evolution Modification. I can reshape and upgrade my own body by spending system points. Function 3. Evil Villain. I earn system points by killing, Justice Faction, characters, or players. Half points for regular enemies. Then it hit me with SSS-Rank Special Female NPC Detected. Activating Affection Meter, Status Panel Observation, and occasionally works mind-reading functions. Whoa, slow down. Stop dumping notifications on me. My dragon head was throbbing. I reread everything and got confused. What NPCs? What players? Am I in reality or a game? The system explained that this world is real, but it's about to become semi-gamified because of some higher being's cosmic bet. Players from another world, Water Blue Star, are coming, and if I can't eliminate them, bad things happen. Eliminate players? They can respawn. Turns out each death doubles their respawn timer. First death, 5 seconds. Second, 10. Third, 20. When it hits a full year, they basically quit the game. I grinned my terrible dragon grin. I remembered getting my own gaming account banned for a year once. Yeah, after a year you really don't feel like coming back. And even if they do, one more death means 2 years. Meanwhile, I keep getting stronger. As long as I don't die, the players get weaker and weaker relative to me. This might actually work. Then the system pinged again. SSS-Rank Special Lowly NPC Detected. View Status Panel. I looked at the fox-eared girl trembling in the corner. This is SSS-Rank. I mean, she's ridiculously cute, prettier than any figurine I ever owned. But getting an SSS on my very first pull kind of cheapens the whole rating system. I pulled up her panel. Name, Anna Hathaway. Age, 18 and elf years. Rating, SSS. Personality, timid, gentle, obedient, kind. Race, half-elf. Combat power, pathetic, can't even beat a chicken. Status, severely ill, weak, 2 days left to live. Talents, top-tier water and light elemental affinity, nation-toppling beauty, activating, delicate body, passive, alluring scent, passive. Current affection toward me, -80. Fear, and the system's evaluation? Host really hit the jackpot. In 2 ways. Also, affection too low. Cannot obtain system points or abilities. Raise affection to 0 for first stage special ability. So my golden ticket SSS rank card is about to die in 2 days. She's terrified of me, and I need to somehow make her not hate me while I can barely move? What kind of garbage tutorial is this? Hey system, let's negotiate. I can't even stand up. How am I supposed to raise anyone's affection? How about a starter gift pack? Ding. Request accepted. Issuing starter gift pack. Temporary body recovery card, 30-minute version. Warning, this card borrows from your own life force. After 30 minutes you will collapse into an even worse state. Use? I stared at this in disbelief. This system literally took my own energy, wrapped it in a gift box, and handed it back to me like a present. The scam of the century. But what choice did I have? My body was getting weaker by the minute. The fox girl was obviously not going to help me. She was shaking like a leaf over there. Then the mind reading kicked in, and I heard her thoughts, a soft, weak, cotton candy voice drifting through my head. So cold. So cold. The dragon is so scary. I'm hungry. Wah, mama. She wasn't even talking. Just sitting there hugging her knees, curled up like an abandoned kitten, shivering in the cold darkness of my miserable cave. All right, no more hesitating. Go big or go home. System, activate the temporary recovery card. Ding. Card activated. Please cherish your life. Host. The recovery card kicked in, and a flash of white light surged through my body. Instantly, I felt alive again. My wounds were still there, charred scales, open cuts, blood dripping here and there, but the pain just vanished. Hardcore last resort energy, exactly like the system warned. I took a couple steps forward. Still wobbly. Walking as a dragon is nothing like walking as a human. You need all 4 legs, your wings for balance, your tail as a counterweight. It's like coming back to a game after months away. You vaguely remember the controls, but your fingers feel stupid. And oh look, they added a whole new row of abilities while you were gone. After a few more steps, the muscle memory started clicking into place. Soon I was moving around the cave without faceplanting. Progress. Then I looked at Anna again, and something deeply uncomfortable happened inside my dragon body. This primal, burning restlessness rose up out of nowhere. Suddenly, this fox-eared girl seemed impossibly attractive. Her round cheeks, her delicate bare feet, those teary eyes with long lashes, that cherry-red mouth. My heart was pounding like thunder. Primitive instincts were hijacking my brain. No, stop. Absolutely not. I raised my claw and slapped myself across the face. Brain, rebooted. Sanity, restored. I'm a dragon right now. Even if dragons technically have no reproductive barriers with other species, charging at her in this form would be completely psychotic. At the very least, I'd need to be in human form first. And more importantly, she needs to survive past the next 2 days before anything else matters. I used to read novels about dragon characters all the time and thought their instincts were funny. Now that I'm experiencing them personally, not funny. Not funny at all. I forced the dragon urges down and let human reason take the wheel again. Anna was shivering from the cold, so I searched around my tiny, miserable cave until I found a half-decent bear skin tucked in the back. I grabbed it in my jaws and carefully draped it over her. She'd been sitting there this whole time, clutching a dull stone shard in her hands, her only weapon, hugging her knees and shaking. She had shackles on her wrists and ankles. She couldn't run even if she wanted to. Her story was tragic. She was a half-elf from the elven forest, captured by slave hunters, got sick on the road, sold to some kingdom, then tossed onto a sacrificial altar as dragon bait by the king. Just one terrible thing after another. When she felt me approaching, she tensed up, probably thinking this was it. The dragon was finally going to eat her. But instead I just laid the bare skin over her shoulders. She looked up at me with those big, watery eyes, confused, then quickly looked back down like a deer caught in headlights. She stared at her bare, swollen, red toes and stammered out, "Evil dragon, sir. Are you wrapping Anna up to warm her before you eat her?" I just stared at her. Honestly, hot or cold, the taste is probably about the same. I did feel a faint dragon instinct urge to see her as food, but it was way weaker than the other urge I just slapped out of my brain. Black dragons are scavengers by nature, so the food drive wasn't that intense. I shook my head at her. Then I clumsily used my wing claws to tuck the bare skin tighter around her and nodded. She couldn't understand dragon language, so body language was all I had. The bare skin still had some of my body heat on it. She was still cold, but at least the shaking calmed down a lot. She looked up at me again, still scared, but this time with something else in her eyes, gratitude. In a small, trembling voice, she said, Thank you, dragon sir. It's not so cold anymore." Ding. Anna Hathaway's affection increased by 50. Current affection, -30. Aw. I was confused. -30, but labeled aw. Shouldn't all be positive? The system explained that her dominant emotion was still fear, so even though she was grateful, the overall score stayed negative. If respect became the main emotion, then it would flip positive. Still, 50 points just for a bare skin blanket. Getting her to 0 might not be that hard after all. Wait, earlier the mind reading picked up that she was hungry, right? I nodded at her, pointed a claw at the ground, "Stay here, don't move," and turned around to crawl out of the cave. She probably didn't understand my gestures, but I didn't have time to play charades. The clock was ticking on my recovery card. I needed to find food. Now, I burst out of the cave and into the night. Freezing wind, dark clouds rolling in, a storm brewing. The moon had tucked itself behind the clouds like it didn't want to see what was about to happen. Only a few stars were keeping watch. Dragon eyes work like night vision goggles with a red filter. I could clearly pick out anything alive and moving in the darkness. Nighttime is hunting hour, and in this basic forest, I was pretty much the apex predator. Well, a beat-up, discount version of one. There were blood splatters and fallen scales scattered around my cave entrance. All mine. That's a problem. I made a mental note. Once I recover, I'm relocating. If humans can track someone in the modern world without magic, imagine what they can do in a world with magic. Following a blood trail would be child's play for them. Time to move fast. I darted into the forest and quickly picked up a lone elk with my nose and eyes. This wasn't dinner for Anna. This was for me. In 30 minutes, I'd collapse into an even worse state than before, and if my stomach was empty when that happened, starvation might finish me off. Plan: feed myself first, then grab some berries for Anna. My dragon aura spread out naturally as I moved, and it worked beautifully. Dragon aura is basically a fear field. Anything weaker than me feels like it just met the ultimate predator. For creatures with weak willpower, it's basically a stun ability. This elk was already injured and weak. Under my aura, it just dropped to its knees. I didn't overthink it. Tail swinging, for legs scrambling forward, I chomped down on its neck. Hot blood poured into my starving stomach. It was disgusting for about 3 seconds, and then suddenly, it was the most delicious thing I'd ever tasted. I clamped down on the elk's throat and started gulping blood like a juice box. That's when I heard rustling behind me, then howling. 3 big silver-gray wolves burst out of the bushes, eyeing my elk with hungry green eyes, drool dripping from their jaws. I didn't let go of the elk. Instead, I let out this deep, rumbling growl. And then I realized I was guarding my food, like my grandpa's dog back on Earth. The worst part? I knew I was doing it, and I still couldn't stop the impulse. The system popped up with a new feature. I could now see creature stats. These were Silver Moon Wolves, level 25, Tier 3 magical beasts. No wonder they had the guts to challenge me. They were strong, and they had numbers. But I'm a dragon. Even the second weakest color of dragon is way above regular magical beasts. I dropped the elk, puffed up my throat, and unleashed my acid breath right in their faces. A spray of dark green liquid splashed across all 3 wolves and the surrounding vegetation. Every plant it touched instantly withered and turned black, smoking and hissing. Honestly, I hate my acid breath. 0 style points. I'm a dragon. I should be breathing fire. But ugly or not, the stuff works. The wolves first started dissolving. Their skin bubbled and corroded, and they howled in pain. While they were staggering, I charged. Claws digging into the dirt, tail swinging for balance, neck coiled back like a snake ready to strike. I pounced on the first wolf, hooked both front claws into its flesh, dodged its desperate bite, then clamped my jaws on its throat and ripped. I may have overdone it. I tore off most of its neck in one bite. The muscle memory from this dragon body just kicked in automatically. Apparently Vatras knew how to fight. He just couldn't handle mages. The other 2 tried to run. Big mistake. They're fast, sure, but faster than a dragon with wings? Not a chance. I ran them down and killed them both. After the carnage, I dragged the elk and 1 wolf carcass up into a big tree and ate like a maniac until my stomach finally stopped screaming at me. Time was almost up. I left the other 2 wolf bodies and sprinted through the forest, using bloodline memory and system tips to find berries that humans, well, half-elves, could eat. Then, I ran to a stream and rolled around in the water to wash off the blood, dove into some tall grass to pick up a nice herbal smell, and carefully headed back to my cave. This wasn't vanity. The dragon memories taught me this trick. Masking your scent makes your lair harder to find. I got back with a mouthful of berries, feeling pretty good about my hunting trip. But then I saw Anna. She was slumped against the cave wall, unconscious. Her small hands lay limp on the cold stone floor. The bare skin was still draped over her, but she looked barely alive. She'd gotten worse while I was gone. The system pinged me with kill rewards, 16 system points for the elk and 3 wolves, half rate since they were just, hostile, and not just as faction. Cool. But that didn't help with the fact that Anna was burning up with fever right in front of me. What do? I'm a dragon in a cave. I racked through Vatras's memories looking for anything useful. Herbal knowledge, healing tricks, anything. What did I find? Combat instincts, acid breath techniques, what's edible and what's not, and then his entire library of trashy romance novels. The Proud Princess and Her Domineering Dragon King. The Soft Cute Princess's Black Dragon Groom. Sundara Princess Training Program. Evil Dragon Edition. What is this garbage? And this idiot didn't know a single spell? Not one. What kind of useless dragon was he? I was on the edge of a breakdown when the system chimed in. Shop function unlocked. Based on your current situation, special offer. 10 system points for Chinese herbal medicine. Huanqin, skullcap root. Huanqin. My grandpa used to dig herbs in the mountains back home. He'd drag me around every summer showing off his collection, and I actually remembered. Huanqin is for reducing fever. But wait, that's an earth herb. Why would a fantasy world system have it? No time to question that. System, give me the Huanqin. A flash of white light and fresh green herbs with purple flowers appeared on the ground, looking like they'd just been plucked from the soil. Exactly what I remembered from Grandpa's place, except his were always dried. Now the real problem. How do I feed medicine to an unconscious girl when I'm a dragon with claws and fangs and zero kitchen equipment? I searched the entire cave for a bowl, a cup, anything. All I found was a pile of stupid romance novels and 2 gold coins. This was the most pathetic dragon hoard in history. A disgrace to dragonkind. No time for pride. I scrambled to the water pool at the back of the cave, rinsed the blood and meat bits out of my mouth, then shoved the herbs between my teeth and started chewing. My fangs were sharp and dense. Mixed with dragon saliva, they worked like a blender. In seconds, I had a mushy herbal paste. I whispered a mental apology, gently lifted Anna's face with the back of my claw, carefully pried open her mouth with the other claw, and pressed my dragon lips against hers. The medicine paste slowly flowed from my mouth into hers. Even unconscious, she swallowed instinctively. It was working. Since I was already committed to the mouth-to-mouth delivery system, I chewed up the berries too and fed them the same way. I'd done everything I could. The rest was up to fate. I curled up next to Anna, pressing my body close to share whatever warmth I had left. I spread my wings over both of us like a blanket, blocking the cold wind blowing in from the cave entrance. Outside, rain started hammering down. Then the 30 minutes ran out. The pain came crashing back, worse than before, and a crushing weakness started eating through every nerve. I was fading fast, but I forced my eyes to stay open long enough to check Anna's status panel. The unconscious debuff was slowly changing from deep red to a lighter shade. She was getting better. You better wake up. Whether I live or die depends on you now. My SSR card. That was my last thought before everything went black. Somewhere in a fever dream, Anna was stumbling through an endless desert, burning alive, dying of thirst. She'd been chased by a fire demon in the elven forest, crushed to death, then dropped into this wasteland. She fell to her knees, memories of her parents and her home flashing by like paintings, only to be burned to ash by demon fire and slashed apart by human swords. Then darkness, complete, empty blackness with only her standing in it. A cool breeze touched her skin. She heard rain. Something bitter filled her mouth and cool liquid trickled down her throat. The burning started to fade. Then sweetness, fruit juice, fragrant and wonderful. Her starving body gulped it down greedily. Was this a hallucination? She didn't know. But if she could taste berries one last time before dying, that wasn't such a bad ending. She thought about the dragon. Her fate had been sealed long ago. If she hadn't gotten sick, she'd have been sold to some noble as a toy. Instead, she became dragon bait. Either way, death was waiting. But the dragon didn't eat her. He saw she was cold and covered her with a bare skin. He gave her the last warmth she'd ever felt. He wasn't like the monsters from the stories the elders used to tell. This dragon was gentle. She only wished she could have thanked him properly. Her thoughts drifted away, and consciousness slipped under again. The medicine worked crazy fast, maybe because this world had never seen earth herbs before, or maybe Anna's constitution was special. Either way, her fever broke way quicker than I expected. Not that I knew any of this, because I was completely knocked out. While I was unconscious, Anna woke up. She found herself wrapped inside my wings, warm against my body, with the taste of bitter herbs in her mouth. She spotted berry pieces and herb residue around my dragon lips and put 2 and 2 together. I'd chewed up medicine and food and fed it to her mouth to mouth. She wasn't grossed out. She wasn't embarrassed. She was just stunned and grateful. I mean, it was a dragon that did it, not a person. Hard to feel romantic about a scaly reptile drooling plant paste into your mouth. The system was going absolutely nuts in the background. Affection hit positive 10, friendly, status, and I unlocked a new ability called Basic Devour plus 2,000 system points. Basic Devour lets me rapidly restore stamina by eating, gives me self-healing, but also makes me way hungrier. The notifications were dinging like crazy, but I was dead to the world. Anna tried poking me. Dragon, sir? Nothing. She called louder. Still nothing. She panicked and checked my body, saw all the horrible wounds, the charred scales, the blood. She pressed her ear against my chest and heard my heartbeat, barely there, fading. My body was getting colder. She had a choice. This was the perfect chance to escape. The big scary dragon was dying. She didn't even consider it. Where would she go? She was sick, chained up, and couldn't walk 10 steps without collapsing. More importantly, I'd saved her. She wanted to help. She dragged herself up, gathered the berries I'd dropped on the cave floor, pried open my massive jaws with her tiny hands, crushed the berries with all her strength, and squeezed the juice into my mouth. By the time she finished, she was drenched in sweat and completely spent. Dragon sir, I'm sorry. This is all Anna can do. Your body is so cold. Are you cold too? She pulled my dragon head into her lap and hugged it, hoping to share what little warmth she had. Then her disease flared up again. Violent coughing, blood spattering onto her princess dress, her small body curling up in agony. When it passed, her lips were blue and her face was paper white. She touched my horns one last time, said a silent prayer, and blacked out again. 2 dying creatures holding onto each other in a dark cave during a rainstorm. Real cheerful scene. But here's the thing. My earlier decision to eat first saved both our lives. The berries Anna fed me were almost nothing, but the real food was already in my stomach. My new basic devour ability kicked in while I was unconscious, rapidly digesting the elk and wolf meat I'd gorged on earlier. My wounds started closing, new flesh growing over the burns, my heartbeat getting stronger and stronger, until the food ran out and the healing stopped. But it was enough. Most of my injuries were healed. Combined with the dragon's natural regeneration, I was back in fighting shape. Then hunger hit me like a freight train, and I jolted awake. I'm starving. Didn't I just eat? My stomach was roaring like thunder. Every cell in my body was screaming for food. And right there, cradled against my snout, was a tender, delicious-smelling elf girl. Wouldn't you like a little taste? The dragon instincts were whispering again, trying to take over. Bloodlust and hunger teaming up against my willpower. I shut that down immediately. This poor girl was hugging my head with her tiny arms, and her affection score was at 12, positive territory. Finally, I don't care how hungry I am. You do not eat your SSR card. Anna looked terrible, blood spots on her dress and around her mouth, face pale and exhausted. Back on Earth, a girl this adorable would have parents carrying her around like a porcelain treasure. Instead, she's stuck in a wet cave with a beat-up black dragon. I sighed, but it came out as a growling hiss. I checked her status panel and almost choked. Her remaining lifespan had dropped to 1 day. Wait, was I unconscious for over a day? I looked at the leftover herbs on the ground. Still fresh. It was still raining outside. No way a whole day passed. Something had made her condition suddenly worse. The berry feeding and coughing up blood must have drained what little life she had left. No time to figure out why. I needed solutions. I had 2,000 system points and a new skill now. Time to see what I could work with. I opened the system shop and what I asked this. It was full of women's daily products, candy, sweets, and the most expensive item was a fancy Lolita dress worth 10,000 points. 10 times prettier than Anna's current outfit, but I'd have to be insane to buy that right now. The only medicines were Huang Qin, back to full price at 100 points, wound healing grass, and bruise ointment. Nothing for whatever was killing Anna from the inside. Is this shop even for me? Or was it designed for the unconscious elf girl? I closed the shop with a sour dragon face and opened the evolution modification menu instead. This was more like it. External modifications, steel claws, iron scales, cosmetic reshaping. Internal modifications covered literally everything from organs to muscles to blood vessels. You could even modify your waste disposal system. The craziest option was upgrading your heart to stellar-grade energy output for 10 billion points. I just swallowed hard and moved on. I started searching for anything that could help me figure out what was wrong with Anna. I didn't expect much. Why would a dragon modification system have anything medical? I'm a fantasy black dragon, not some urban fiction dragon king with a medical degree. I was about to give up when I spotted one option. A modification, hardcode basic insight. Cost, 1,000 points. Upgrade to intermediate insight, 5,000 points. Effect, grants rough perception of objects and conditions. That might work. If it could tell me what disease Anna had, it'd be worth every point. System, I want the eye modification, basic insight. Ding. Exchange successful. Modification beginning immediately. Warning, discomfort may occur. Please do not gouge out your own eyeballs. Excuse me? Before I could process that warning, my eyes exploded with pain. Now I understood why they said that, because I genuinely, desperately wanted to rip my own eyes out of my skull. It felt like someone was jabbing needles directly into my eyeballs while also making them itch. Sour, sharp, stinging agony. Mercifully, it ended fast. I blinked away, a face full of dragon tears, and looked at the ground. Information popped into my mind. Ordinary sandstone floor. Also has dragon feces on it. This idiot Vatris used to poop on his own floor? Disgusting. I scrambled away from that spot immediately. Then I looked at myself. One dumbass rocks black dragon. My dragon mouth twitched. Maybe I should gouge my eyes out. This skill is roasting me. But I realized the insight probably reflected my own thoughts. I had just been calling myself stupid, so the skill agreed. I turned my gaze to Anna, and the humor vanished instantly. The insight dumped a massive wall of text. Half-elf. Top-grade talent. Weak. Night sweats. Chills. Festering sore on thigh. Anemia. Coughing. Stomach spasms. Heart failure. Lung inflammation. Sprained ankle. Minor scrapes. I stared at this endless list of symptoms with my jaw hanging open. The fact that this girl was still breathing was a miracle. Basic insight couldn't tell me the name of her disease or how to cure it, but it listed every symptom it was causing. That was enough. I looked at the leftover Huanqin on the ground to test something. Huanqin clears heat, removes toxins. The insight could read herb properties too. So if I went out into the forest, I could examine every plant I found, match herbs to Anna's symptoms, and treat her one problem at a time. It was rough medicine, reckless even, but desperate times call for desperate dragon measures. I tucked the bare skin around Anna one more time, and for the second time tonight, I charged out into the rainy darkness to hunt through the forest. At least this time I was in decent shape, just very, very hungry. Out in the rain, I was having a productive herb hunting session. Basic insight was pulling its weight. I'd skin every plant I passed, and it'd tell me what it does. Fugen branch stops coughing. Nice. Starlink leaf soothes lungs. Perfect. Blood mushroom restores blood, mildly toxic. Good enough. I grabbed everything useful in my jaws and kept moving deeper into the forest. But no matter how far I searched, I couldn't find anything for heart failure. Makes sense. Even on Earth, that's not something you just cure with herbs. But this is a fantasy world, so maybe the right plan is out there somewhere. For now, these herbs would hopefully buy Anna some time. I was heading back along a stream when I heard it, the clang of weapons and human screaming. My dragon face scrunched up. I used to be human, sure, but right now I'm an evil dragon who still has unhealed fireball burns. Getting involved with humans was the absolute last thing I wanted. I'm a tier 3 juvenile dragon. My entire body is basically a walking treasure chest for adventurers. Smart move is to go the opposite direction. But the fighting was moving toward my cave. Some idiot being chased was running straight for my lair, probably thinking, oh look, a cave to hide in. Yeah, genius. Caves in monster territory during rainstorms are definitely safe. I didn't care about their problems. But Anna was in there. My SSR. My one and only golden ticket. If some random human stumbled in and accidentally hurt her, I'd lose everything. Who knows when I'd find another SSS-Rank NPC, and the next one definitely wouldn't let me kidnap her so easily. Unacceptable. I climbed a tree instead of flying. Wing flaps are loud. Crawling is stealthy, and crept through the rain to scout the situation. A male human knight and a female human mage were being chased by a mercenary gang wearing matching black viper badges. My lady, get inside. I'll hold them off. The knight was standing at MY cave entrance, pushing the mage toward MY home. The system helpfully labeled everyone. Wells. Level 21 Great Knight. Easy pickings for you. Selena. Level 18 Fire Mage. Trash. Black Viper Mercenary Company. Levels 16 to 20. A bunch of trash. But there's a lot of trash. One-on-one I could take any of them. But there were over a dozen mercenaries, and if they ganged up on me, things could get ugly. Worst of all, my acid breath was still recharging. Not enough built up for a full spray. The mage was already backing into my cave, throwing fireballs while retreating. I couldn't wait any longer. I checked the modification menu. I wanted the high-efficiency breath sac and compressed breath upgrades. but those cost 2 and 3,000 points. Way too rich for my blood. I spent my last 1,000 points on basic steel claws and basic steel scales instead. The upgrade was instant and painless. My scales gained a metallic sheen, and my claws grew slightly bigger with a silvery gray coating like they'd been plated in metal. Basic Insight chimed in. You've been upgraded. Now go carry the team. I've never killed a human before. But between the dragon instincts baked into my brain and all the raw meat and blood I'd already consumed tonight, the psychological barrier was basically gone. I drank blood. I ate raw elk. I am an evil dragon now. Old me on Earth. Lawful good. Post-fusion me. Chaotic neutral. Killing is on the table. Eating people. Let's not go there. I stashed the herbs in the tree, coiled my legs, and launched myself like an arrow through the darkness. Wings spread, claws out, straight at the mage. Teamfight rules. Always delete the squishy mage first. Other dragons announced themselves with a dramatic roar before swooping in majestically. Not me. I was playing assassin. No announcement, no grand entrance, just a silent death machine dropping from the shadows. My steel claws hooked into her shoulders and slammed her to the ground. She was some minor noble's daughter who'd never faced real danger in her life. Her eyes went wide with pure terror. Before the night even turned around, I bit through most of her neck and shoulder in one crunch. 2. Killed level 18 human mage. 10 system points. She was beautiful, honestly. Way prettier than any celebrity back on Earth. But this is my territory. My treasure is inside. Life is hard enough already. You threaten what's mine, you die? First human kill. Looking at the body, something uncomfortable flickered in my chest for half a second. Then it was gone. It's a black dragon, someone in the mercenary group yelled. The knight spun around, saw his mage lying in a pool of blood, and completely lost it. Selena, his eyes went red, veins bulging, hands crushing the grip of his sword. He looked at me with pure murder in his eyes. I'll kill you. Kill you. Kill. He forgot all about the mercenaries chasing him. All he wanted now was my head. Basic Insight slapped a label over him. Great Knight on the verge of explosion, level 21 to 30. No need to fight the boss while the minions are still up. Basic MOBA strategy. Clear the wave before the duel. I dodged his sword swing, whipped my tail for balance, and sprinted straight past him toward the mercenary pack like a hunting cheetah. Solo later. Trash mobs first. A 4-meter black dragon charging at full speed is already terrifying for regular mercenaries. But a 4-meter black dragon that can also fly? That's a whole different nightmare. Right as they braced for impact, I launched straight up into the air and landed on a nearby tree. The tiny bit of acid I'd been saving. Not enough to waste on one mage, but perfect for a crowd. I let it rip. My throat ballooned up with a deep, gurgling sound. Then I opened wide and sprayed a fan-shaped mist of acid down on them from above. It wasn't dense, lasted barely a second, but in the pouring rain, the acid mixed with rainwater and washed across their entire bodies. My face. I can't see. Cover your eyes. Kill the dragon. Their formation crumbled instantly. Most of them were clawing at their burning eyes. Only a few at the edges escaped the spray. The knight was sprinting toward me from behind, so this was my window. I dove down, and Basic Insight started tagging targets as I scanned the crowd. Materna, level 16. Mercenary, vision intact. You first. Kill the ones who can still see. My steel claws shredded through their leather armor like paper, slicing throats left and right. I charged through the group, launching into the air to dodge counterattacks, then diving back down on the next target. I picked them off one by one. Weakest first, using the chaos to my advantage. At one point, I wrapped my tail around a mercenary and used him as a living shield. These guys had heard of black dragons before, but the black dragons they knew were supposed to be stupid. Brute force idiots. Not this. Not a dragon that uses hit-and-run tactics, prioritizes targets, and literally holds a hostage. If it weren't for the acid breath and black scales, they'd have sworn they were fighting a sneaky green dragon. Not that their opinions mattered anymore. Under 30 seconds, almost all of them were dead. A few were still twitching on the ground, but going nowhere. Ding. 13 mercenaries killed. 130 system points. The knight's sword came swinging at my wing from behind. I twisted right and dodged. We circled each other around the pile of corpses, sizing each other up. I wasn't worried. He was strong, sure, But he'd already burned through stamina running from the mercenaries, and now rage was making him sloppy. A furious fighter is a dead fighter. He charged anyway. Maybe he didn't care about living anymore. His grief-powered sword strike was full of openings. I hooked his ankle with my tail, slammed him face first into the mud, pinned him with my claw, and tried to do the classic dragon move, point-blank breath attack to the skull. Nothing came out. Acid Tank was bone dry. He was thrashing under my claw, teeth grinding, eyes burning with hatred. No time to wait for a recharge. I dragged one claw across his throat. Quick, clean. He bled out in the rain, dying angry and heartbroken. Ding. Human Great Knight killed. 15 system points. I don't eat humans. Even Vatris never did. Dragon blood craving exists, but people apparently taste awful. You'd have to be literally starving. I couldn't leave the bodies near my cave, though. I stripped every pack, pouch, and bag off the corpses, hung them around my neck, and dragged every single body downwind, far from my lair. The rain would carry the blood smell away from my cave, and once the storm stopped, other magical beasts would come eat the evidence. Back in the cave, I dumped my loot and started counting. 7 gold lions, 53 silver lions, and a big pile of copper ones I didn't bother counting. These were the universal human currency, minted by some ancient conqueror king 15 centuries ago. I picked up 1 gold coin and licked it, then stuck it between my chest scales. I caught myself doing it and smacked my own head. Stupid dragon hoarding instinct. The mage's bag had real treasures, though. A basic all-element magic textbook, a recovery potion that heals injuries, and a spirit light potion that speeds up meditation. Anna's water and light magic talents were maxed out. Once she recovered, these could be incredible for her. Speaking of Anna, I suddenly remembered I still hadn't given her the herbs. I rinsed my mouth, grabbed the herbs and the recovery potion, and rushed to her side. She looked even worse than before, lips turning blue, face like gray paper. Remaining lifespan, 17 hours. The clock was screaming. I needed to treat her now. Recovery potion first, like a health potion in games. It should pull her back from the edge even if it doesn't cure the root cause. I reached out a claw to open her mouth, then froze. My upgraded steel claws were razor sharp now. Even using the backside could slice her face open. If only I could retract my claws like a cat. Wait, I can. I opened the free modification menu, selected my right front paw, and redesigned it with retractable claws, cat style. The system gave me the quote, free modification, right front claw, custom design. Dragon deviation, 10%. Cost, 50 system points. 50 points? Totally worth it. But I asked about that dragon deviation thing. Turns out it measures how far my modifications stray from standard dragon biology. Higher deviation means higher costs. Makes sense. Without limits, if I had enough points I could literally rebuild myself into a Decepticon. Actually, that sounds amazing. Why be a dragon when I could be a Cybertronian transformer? Focus. Cat claws first. Save the girl. Transformers later. I retracted my claws, popped them back out, retracted them again. Pop retract. Pop retract. This is actually really fun. Then my brain went somewhere it shouldn't have, wondering if I could use system points to remove certain other dragon features for future purposes. No, too depraved. I shook my head violently. Focus. Dying elf girl. Medicine time. I retracted my claws, gently pried Anna's mouth open with the smooth side of my paw, grabbed the recovery potion bottle with my other claw, and popped the cork off against my horn. A pale red liquid started glowing inside. I carefully poured it into her mouth. The effect was instant. Her remaining lifespan counter started climbing, 17 hours. 1 day, 2 days. It stopped at 3 days and 8 hours. Her lips lost that awful blue tint, color returned to her cheeks. Still a candle in the wind, but at least the wind had died down a bit. Not a cure, but it bought me time. Can't expect a basic potion to fix heart failure. If it could, the potion would be worth more than this whole forest. I moved on to the herbs. Drug interactions were a real concern, so I had to test them one at a time, watching Anna's status panel for changes. Fugan branch first. Chewed it up, retracted claws, lifted her chin, opened her mouth, pressed my dragon snout against her lips, and transferred the paste. The coughing debuff started flickering on her panel. Working. But her lifespan didn't change, so coughing wasn't the thing killing her. Next, Starlink leaves mixed with Zsong berries. They grew together, so probably compatible. Chewed, transferred, watched. The lung inflammation debuff started blinking, and her lifespan jumped up another day. Lung problems were a serious complication then. I'd need to keep dosing her daily. Then came the blood mushroom. Chew, 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 bleg. Why is this so bitter? My entire dragon face crumpled like a ball of paper. Dragons before adulthood have weak taste buds. It's a genetic thing to prevent picky eating in baby dragons. If I thought this was unbearable, for an elf or human it would be 10 times worse. Bitter medicine heals the body, I told myself cheerfully, then pried Anna's mouth open and shoved the whole mouthful in. MMPH. PTHHH. No. MMPH. Her eyes flew open. Of course she woke up right now. Of all the timing in the world, she regained consciousness with my dragon mouth clamped over hers and the most disgusting mushroom paste being tongue-shoveled down her throat. We stared at each other. Big dragon eyes. Big elf eyes. Maximum awkwardness. She tried to squirm free, but I had a claw pinning her down. She was tearing up from the bitterness, making the most pitiful face I'd ever seen. But I wasn't about to let perfectly good medicine go to waste. I pushed my tongue forward and crammed the entire load of blood mushrooms straight down her throat in one go. I let her go. She collapsed flat on her back, staring at the ceiling with dead eyes, tears rolling down her cheeks, mushroom juice smeared around her mouth. The look of someone who has given up on life. Dragon, sir. That was so bitter. She wasn't mad. She understood I was giving her medicine, but she reserved the right to be miserable about it. Affection 5. Current 15. Still friendly despite the mushroom assault. Bitter now means everything else tastes sweet later. You're welcome. Her anemia debuff started flickering slowly. Made sense. You can't fix blood loss with just herbs. She needed actual food. This girl clearly hadn't eaten a real meal in ages. Looking at her pathetic little face, I got an idea. I spent 1 system point and materialized a white rabbit milk candy. I handed it to Anna, who'd propped herself against the cave wall. She stared at it, confused. She'd never seen anything like it. Dragon, sir, is this? For Anna, I nodded. She still looked lost, so I took it back, peeled off the wrapper with my claws, and returned the soft white candy to her. Then I picked up a berry from the ground and tossed it in my own mouth. Eat, see? It's food. Oh, it is food. She cupped the candy in both hands and sniffed it. Her eyes went wide. It smelled like milk. She'd drunk unicorn milk before, but never seen solid milk. She took a tiny, careful bite. Affection 5. Current 20. Her eyes squeezed shut in pure bliss. The sweetness washed away the bitter mushroom nightmare. She held the candy like it was the most precious thing in the world. My mind reading flickered on and caught her thoughts. So sweet. It's like Mama's hugs, but Dragon Sir only had one of these. Even though it's so yummy, Anna shouldn't eat it all by herself. Dragon Sir has already been so kind to Anna. I glanced at her. 1 system point each, kid. I could buy these by the bucket if I killed enough stuff. Practically infinite supply. Dragon Sir, she looked up at me, holding the half-eaten candy in both hands, cheeks slightly pink, and said shyly, Anna. Anna only took a little bite. It's really sweet and really yummy. Dragon Sir should eat some too. Looking at that soft fox-eared face offering me her candy, my dragon heart did a little flip. I couldn't help pawing at the ground. Damn it. How can something be this cute and not be afraid of getting eaten? I snorted and shook my head. I've had plenty of white rabbit candies in my past life. I wasn't about to steal sweets from a sick little elf. I nudged her hands back with my snout to say no thanks. That I may have rubbed against her hands a little while pushing them back. Hee. So soft. I was exhausted. It had been one hell of a night. Hunting, fighting, gathering herbs, performing dragon dentistry on an unconscious girl, killing a whole mercenary squad. Juvenile dragons are supposed to eat tons and sleep tons because we're still growing. Instead, I'm running a one-dragon hospital. The moment I saw Anna's condition was stable, I curled up next to her and passed out instantly. She watched me fall asleep and her expression softened. She looked at the candy, bit off one more tiny piece for herself, then shoved the remaining 3/4 into my sleeping dragon mouth. What I didn't hear was her thinking. She knew the truth about her own condition. It wasn't just a disease. It was an abyssal curse. A demon's curse. Who could possibly save her from that? She was going to die no matter what. But getting to eat something that sweet before the end? She considered herself lucky. She draped 2/3 of the bear's skin over my belly, barely covered anything on a dragon my size, and wrapped the last third around her frozen red feet. She snuggled against my side, soaking up whatever warmth she could get. "Good night, dragon sir." Meanwhile, at the Anrius Kingdom Palace, the king who'd set up the whole dragon ambush was having a meltdown. "You still haven't found that black dragon? Useless. What do I pay you for?" King Anrius was screaming at a knight, literally spraying spit in his face, pacing back and forth in his throne room. The whole scheme had cost him a fortune, 3,000 gold lions to hire a Tier 3 fire mage from the neighboring Irilon Empire, plus another 1,000 to buy a dying half-elf as bait. And the reason for all this? His son, the prince, had a reproductive problem. Alchemists said the only cure was eating a dragon's heart and dragon private parts. But dragon materials were impossibly rare and expensive. A single dragon organ could sell for tens of thousands of gold lions. His tiny kingdom couldn't afford that. So when a juvenile black dragon showed up voluntarily demanding a princess, the king nearly died laughing. He faked being terrified, agreed to hand over a princess, bought the cheapest half-elf he could find, a sick one about to die anyway, and set the trap. And then the dragon escaped. With the bait. Now the hired mage was demanding more money to track me into the Silver Moon Forest. 500 more gold lions, plus military support. The king agreed through gritted teeth. After the meeting, the knight walked out of the palace with a face full of the king's dried spit, quietly cursing under his breath. "Great Conqueror Zivi above. Please make sure this disgusting king never produces a second son." The knight privately suspected the prince's condition was genetic from the king's side. Or maybe the prince wasn't even the king's kid at all. The knight had caught the queen sneaking off to meet various knights on multiple occasions. He would know. He was one of them. Meanwhile, back at the Anrius Kingdom, a whole comedy of errors was unfolding that I knew nothing about. The knight, face freshly washed after the king's spit shower, went to negotiate with the hired mage Mezanter. The mage wanted more money, obviously. He complained that 500 gold lions barely covered tracking spell materials, let alone his labor. And oh, by the way, he was only here because the Irilon Empire's border general Kashuan sent him as a favor to Queen Anrius. The knight blinked. What does the queen have to do with the Irilon border general? Then he remembered the queen attended a tea party hosted by the Irilon queen last month and, oh, the knight did some quick math and realized the information density of that one sentence was dangerously high. He'd need to gather his knight buddies to properly digest all these implications. Also, if the opportunity arose, he wouldn't mind asking the queen personally how she'd managed to win over the border general. Though maybe he should stop visiting the queen for their little life philosophy discussions. He was young. He didn't want to catch any diseases. Yeah, that queen was busy. Morning came. A breeze carried a leaf into my cave, and it landed right on my nose. The itch woke me up, but it was really the screaming hunger in my gut that dragged me to consciousness. I tried to roll over and felt something heavy on my belly. I looked down. Anna was curled up on my stomach like a kitten, fox ears and tail drooping, covered by my wing, fast asleep. Probably crawled up there because dragon belly is warm and the cave gets freezing at night. Fair enough. But I was starving. Big dragon. Eat candy, she mumbled in her sleep. I found a faint sweetness in my mouth and fished out the white rabbit candy with my claw. She'd eaten less than a quarter and stuffed the rest into my mouth while I was sleeping. Are all girls in this world this considerate? My nephew back on Earth broke my figurines and then demanded I buy him more. This SSR really is a treasure. I needed to find her real food, though. System Shop sweets wouldn't cut it. She was clearly still growing and needed protein. I carefully scooped her up with my wings, but then her shackles started dangling and pulling at her limbs. Thank God I have 4 claws and a tail. I had to support all 4 chains simultaneously just to set her down on the bare skin without hurting her. Just as I was about to leave, I felt a tiny hand grab the tip of my tail. Anna's face was scrunched up in her sleep, looking helpless and scared. "Dragon sir, don't go." Anna's scared. I checked her panel. Status: deep sleep. She was genuinely unconscious, just sleep-talking. One side, adorable fox-eared girl clinging to my tail. Other side, my stomach trying to eat itself. I solved this by exchanging a certain Pink rubber stick from the system's daily goods shop. 10 system points. Don't ask what it was shaped like. Don't ask why the system sells those. I swapped it into her grip in place of my tail, and she clutched it contentedly. Half a minute later, I was tiptoeing out of the cave into the dawn light. Dew was rising, birds were singing, and this early rising black dragon was going to find meat. Where's meat? Right where I dumped those mercenary bodies last night, of course. Other beasts would have been attracted by the smell overnight. I wasn't going to eat humans. I was going to eat whatever showed up to eat the humans. Real dragons would never stoop to scavenging like this. Dragons are proud. That stubborn pride is hardwired into every breed, regardless of color. They'd rather starve than look undignified. But I'm not a real dragon. I'm a gamer. In every game I've ever played, I was the rat, the sneaky opportunist who never shows his hand until victory is guaranteed. Even in that last league match before I died, sure I looked desperate dodging Yasuo, but there was a Lee Sin hiding in the river bush waiting to clean up. I bounced through the treetops like an oversized monkey until I spotted my body dump. A pack of mountain wolves was feasting on the mercenary remains. Mountain wolf, level 5, tier 1, basically insects. They were way bigger than earth wolves though. Each one was elephant cub-sized, with thick, meaty hind legs that made my mouth water. I crept to the nearest tree, and then I unleashed my full dragon aura plus a deafening roar. ROAR. The combined pressure of dragon aura plus dragon roar hit these puny tier 1 wolves like a truck. Every single one dropped flat on the ground with their tails between their legs, so terrified they forgot which legs to use for running. Breakfast served. The mountain wolves were so scared they were about to pee themselves, so I had to move fast. Couldn't let them ruin the meat. I blitzed down from the tree, smashed into one wolf, clawed another's throat open, and bit the head off a third that tried to run. 6 dead wolves, 6 system points. The rest finally snapped out of their terror and bolted. I let them go. Can't wipe out the whole population. That's bad resource management. After gorging on wolf legs, my basic devour ability kicked in and I was back to peak condition. Way better than the recovery card, which felt like taking supplements. Powerful in the moment, but hollow inside. This was the real deal. Now, food for the little fox-eared princess. Wolf meat is sour and tough. Fine for a dragon, terrible for an elf girl. Best forest meat? Rabbit. And one rabbit would be about right for her appetite. What followed was possibly the most undignified moment in the history of dragonkind. Picture this, a 4-meter black dragon with an 8-meter wingspan, crouching in front of a rabbit hole, but in the air, tail sticking straight up, shoving his long dragon head into the burrow trying to peek inside. These were fire rabbits, white fur, red ears and tail, tier 1 magical beasts. Their only trick was a basic fireball spell, but their meat was supposed to be incredible. Each one was about half the size of a piglet. They kept their tunnels bone dry by constantly fire roasting the walls, and they hated water. The problem was the tunnels went deep and twisted in every direction. I couldn't reach them. Acid breath would dissolve them into inedible mush. If only I knew magic, but that bloodline knowledge doesn't unlock until I hit the adolescent dragon stage. Then I noticed a stream nearby, and an idea hit me. They won't come out. Fine, I'll flood them out. Never underestimate how much water a dragon can drink. Even a juvenile dragon's stomach has insane elasticity. I waddled over to the stream, stuck my face in, and drank, and drank, and drank. My belly ballooned to 3 times its normal size, sloshing audibly with every step as I waddled back. Half a ton of water, at least. I shoved my snout into the rabbit hole and squeezed my stomach muscles. A massive torrent of water blasted out of my mouth like a fire hose. Dragons don't get nauseous. We can control every muscle independently, so vomiting water feels no different than spitting. Good thing Basic Devour had already digested all the wolf meat. Otherwise, this scene would have been unpleasant. Water pressure did its job. Moments later, a fountain of confused, soaking wet fire rabbits erupted from the back exit of their burrow, tumbling over each other in a soggy pile. I picked 2 chubby baby rabbits, killed them, tied their long ears together, and hung them around my neck. Then I grabbed a 3rd baby rabbit, alive. This one had decent talent, 3 fireballs per day, perfect as a portable lighter for cooking Anna's meals. I said goodbye to the grateful rabbit parents. Grateful because I only took 3 kids instead of wiping out their whole family. and headed home with 2 dead rabbits and 1 traumatized living one dangling from my neck. Back at the cave, Anna wasn't where I'd left her. I found her in the corner, hugging her knees, eyes red and teary, looking devastated. It's Dragon, sir. You came back?" Her face lit up with relief and joy. She tried to stand and run to me, but her shackles caught on the rocks and yanked her down. She hit the ground hard with a pained little cry, chains clanking against stone. She rubbed her scraped knee, but kept her eyes locked on me like I'd vanish if she blinked. She'd woken up alone and thought I'd abandoned her, left her as dead weight in this cold cave. Even though she knew she was dead weight, all she wanted was someone to be with her at the end. Even if that someone was a black dragon. I dropped the rabbits, walked over, and gently nudged her back to her spot with my snout. Then I noticed her scraped knee and remembered, dragon saliva accelerates wound healing. Without thinking, I leaned down and licked the scrape twice. Eek! That. Dragon, sir, you. It tickles. She pulled her dress over her knees, blushing furiously. She seemed confused about why she was embarrassed. Her companion was literally a reptile. Affection 2. Current, 22. I gave her a weird look, backed up 2 steps, and shifted my attention to those shackles on her wrists and ankles. I'd been putting this off, but I needed to deal with them. The problem was every method I could think of was dangerous. My claws could snap the chains, but the force would shatter her fragile limbs too. Acid breath couldn't be precision applied. I'm a dragon, not a syringe. You can vomit a lot or a little, but you can't vomit exactly 5 milliliters. Cobras can't aim their venom to the droplet, and neither can I with my acid. This was going to require some creative problem solving. These shackles were no joke. The king had them custom-made from ultra-dense material specifically to weigh down anything that tried to fly off with the princess. Anna weighed maybe 60 pounds soaking wet, but with the chains she felt like 90. That's half her body weight in metal strapped to her limbs. Every time she tried to lift an arm or take a step, it was torture. It also hit me. That's why her lifespan dropped so fast while I was unconscious. She'd been dragging those things around trying to save me, and it drained whatever strength she had left. This girl nearly killed herself feeding me berries. I examined the shackles more carefully and found keyholes. Keyholes mean locks. Locks mean they can be picked. And this world's mechanical engineering was medieval at best. These couldn't be that complicated. Now, I've never picked a lock in real life, but I've picked thousands in video games. Skyrim, Dying Light, Fallout. I'm basically a digital locksmith. And these keyholes looked almost identical to the ones in Elder Scrolls V. Any other dragon would have rage quit or gone back to sleep at this point. But I have a self-modification system. I designed 1 claw on my left paw as a flat tension bar to hold the lock cylinder, and 1 claw on my right paw as a needle-shaped pick to rotate the pins. Then I asked the system for a price quote. Dragon deviation, 80%. Cost, 500 system points. Ouch. Yeah, claws shaped like lockpicks don't exactly scream dragon. But then I asked about temporary modification. Temporary modification, 10% of total cost per minute. I had 153 points left. That gave me 3 minutes before I went broke. I looked at Anna's bruised, purple wrists and ankles, and bit the bullet. Temporary modification. Go. A countdown appeared in my vision. 3 minutes. No pressure. I lunged at Anna, who stared at me in confusion as I nosed her left shackle into position. Flat bar into the keyhole, press down on the cylinder. Needle pick inserted at the bisecting angle. Start turning, feel for the catches, micro-adjust when it sticks. Click. Left hand, free. 30 seconds. Right hand next. Faster this time with the experience. Click. Done. Right ankle. Click. Left ankle. Click. All 4 shackles open. 1 minute 18 seconds total. Cancel temporary modification. Deducted. 59 system points. Heh. I opened my terrifying dragon mouth in the smuggest grin possible, letting out a rumbling, hur, of pure self-satisfaction. Anna slowly moved her freed limbs, staring at her own hands in disbelief. 3 or 4 days in those chains had left her wrists and ankles bruised purple-black. She looked up at me with shining eyes. Dragon, sir, you actually opened them? How did you do that? That's amazing. I lifted my dragon head high, puffed out my chest, and pointed my tail straight at the ceiling. She saw right through my posturing and let out a little, puffed, then covered her mouth and giggled. For one instant, two little dimples appeared on her cheeks, her peach blossom eyes sparkled, and she looked absolutely stunning. I froze. 2 drops of drool fell from my dragon mouth. The mating instincts kicked in hard. The system notification snapped me out of it. Affection 10, now at 32. Anna had already noticed my burning stare and was blushing furiously, head down, fidgeting with her fingers. Meanwhile, I was literally blowing hot steam from my nostrils like a cartoon bull. I'm a black dragon acting like a red dragon in heat. Get it together. Sanity restored. I gently picked Anna up in my jaws and set her on my back. She was even lighter than I thought, probably under 60 pounds. She'd been through hell. She tensed up at first, but didn't resist. She sat on my broad back and instinctively wrapped her small arms around my neck, afraid of falling. She didn't need to worry. I was walking as smoothly as I could, deliberately cushioning every step for her. I could feel her relaxing. A dragon letting someone ride on its back is a bigger deal than people realize. Riding a dragon is 10 times harder than killing one. Some dragons would literally let you torture them to death before they'd carry a rider. Anna understood that. She didn't know why I was being this way, but she knew it meant something. Then she watched me start preparing the fire rabbits, and her brain short-circuited. Dragon, sir. Is this cooking? She was lying flat on my back, chin resting between my shoulder blades, round eyes wide as plates, watching me gut the rabbits, remove the organs, and skewer the meat on sticks with my claws. A juvenile dragon. Preparing food. With technique. Teenage dragons are supposed to tear raw meat apart and swallow it bloody. They don't do cuisine. But here I was, threading rabbit meat onto wooden sticks, getting ready to barbecue lunch for a fox-eared elf girl sitting on my back like she was riding a very scaly pony. Back in my previous life, I was nothing special. Average looks, average height, average grades. My only real talents were playing games like a coward and cooking, learned from my grandma before she passed away. After she died, it was just me and Grandpa. My parents? Divorced, remarried, started new families, never looked back. Their one contribution to my life was making me exist. Real heartwarming stuff. Anyway, rabbit meat was prepped and ready to cook. This cave was getting abandoned soon, so I didn't bother cleaning up the blood on the floor. I piled up dry branches, grabbed my living fire rabbit lighter by the ears, aimed its mouth at the woodpile, and jabbed its butt with my claw. Squeak. One reflexive fireball later, the campfire was lit. I tossed the traumatized rabbit aside. It was so paralyzed by my dragon aura that all it could do was lie there and contemplate its life choices. Now, the key to great roasted rabbit is heat control and seasoning. The system shop was garbage for combat stuff, but incredible for daily supplies. Human, 1 system point per bag. Salt, sugar, same price. Soy sauce and vinegar cost a bit more. Even as a dragon in another world, I refused to eat unseasoned food. First rabbit goes to Anna, obviously. I rotated the makeshift spit with my claws, scoring the meat with precise cuts to let the spices soak in. Soon the rabbit was sizzling, fat dripping into the flames with satisfying hisses, and the most incredible aroma filled the entire cave. Even Anna, who rarely ate meat, was sniffing the air with her cute little nose, eyes sparkling like stars. Her thoughts leaked through the mind reading again. Dragon Sir is so amazing, and the roasted bunny smells so good. It must be yummy. I grinned and spun. The spit faster. When it was done, golden, glistening, perfect, I blew a strong jet of air through my nostrils to cool it down to eating temperature. No dragon drool contamination either. Then I popped out my retractable cat claws and expertly carved all the meat off the bones onto a big leaf I'd prepared earlier. Tossed the skeleton aside and presented the masterpiece to Anna. Well, this is for Anna. Her big eyes went shiny and wet. Not from sadness this time, from being moved. A warm feeling welled up inside her. The realization that someone was actually taking care of her, and it hit her harder than anything. Her eyes turned red and tears started forming. She said it felt sweeter than the candy from yesterday. She'd assumed the blowing and deboning were just how dragons ate. She never imagined it was all for her. Even her parents in the elven forest hadn't been this attentive. Of course, she didn't know that where I come from. This level of effort barely scores a passing grade with girls. There are guys on Earth who pick individual seeds off strawberries with toothpicks. We call those guys simps. But I'm not a simp. A simp's effort goes unappreciated. Anna treasures every single thing I do. Her rising affection score proves it. Affection 3. Current, 35. This girl gets emotional over the smallest kindness. Either she's incredibly easy to please, or her life before this was absolutely miserable. Probably both. She took the leaf plate, but before eating, she picked up the biggest piece of rabbit meat and stretched her tiny arm toward me. Dragon, sir, all you eat first. Her arm was way too short to reach my head. I twisted my neck around, plucked the meat from her fingers, and my tongue swiped the grease off her fingertips too. She turned tomato red and started giggling uncontrollably. Nice moment. Really nice. Except we had an audience. Somewhere nearby, hiding behind a tree on the cliff above, a creature called Polacry was watching all of this unfold. He was the chieftain of a small kobold clan, a few dozen of them living in a cave on the edge of the Silver Moon Forest. Kobolds look like tiny humanoid dragon lizards, not actually dogs, despite the name. They have little scales, tails, and dragonish heads. They're egg layers, they mature fast, and they can theoretically live over a century. Most don't make it past 10 because they're pathetically weak, can't even beat regular forest animals. Polacry was level 7, and that was enough to be chieftain. That should tell you everything about kobold combat power. They'd come out this morning following the smell of blood from last night's battle, hoping to scavenge scraps. Instead, they caught a whiff of my cooking and followed their noses straight to my cave. But the moment Polacry saw me, he forgot all about food. He was staring at me with tears streaming down his little lizard dog face, because kobolds believe they carry dragon blood in their veins. Their lifelong dream is to find a real dragon and serve it. And there I was, a genuine black dragon, sitting right there, roasting rabbit. He'd found his dragon. I'd already noticed the kobolds hiding behind the tree. When they saw me, they completely lost it, barking and yelping, scrambling toward me like puppies who just spotted their dad coming home from work. Now, most dragons probably look at kobolds and see useless vermin. But thanks to my dragon heritage knowledge and my gamer brain, I saw something different. Sure, they're pathetically weak. But their cowardice? That's actually survival intelligence. They never charge blindly into danger like brain-dead goblins. They plan escape routes, they swarm weak prey in groups, and most importantly, they're master trap builders and expert cave architects. Lawful evil, full of tricks, cruel, sneaky, bottom of the barrel, but absolutely devoted to dragons. Free minions that recruit themselves? Yes, please. I played it cool though. Can't look too eager. Gotta maintain that dragon dignity. Their chieftain, Polacry, dumped his weapons and bags on the ground and flopped face first at my feet. He and his whole crew prostrated themselves, speaking in kobold language, which is basically bootleg dragon speak mixed with barking. What I heard sounded something like, big true dragon, sir. Me, little Polacry, chieftain of Broken Fong tribe. We want to be your loyal slaves. You point, we bite. Whoever you want dead, we make them very dead. I scanned the group with insight. Polacry was level 7, the strongest one. Everyone else was level 3 or 4. In a straight fight, they'd lose to regular wolves. But with traps? Different story. His affection was already at 80. Worship. These guys were pre-sold. I just had to act reluctant to make them feel like they'd earned it. I let the silence stretch, then growled in proper dragon language. Kobold, Chieftain Polacry. You and your followers are pathetically weak. I would grant you my protection, but what can you possibly offer me? Polacry was shaking with excitement. He crawled to my feet and started kowtowing. Great true dragon. We are weak, yes, but we can polish every scale on your body. We can design a magnificent, comfortable lair for you. We can find rare mineral veins and bring you treasure. And when we grow stronger, we will hunt food for you. If you would not find that beneath you. I stared at him, genuinely stunned. This was the ultimate freebie deal. Protection from a dragon is basically worthless. It's like buying insurance from a company that'll definitely skip town when disaster hits. The kobolds knew this. They didn't care. They wanted to be exploited. I shall call this condition, can't go a day without being exploited syndrome. Well, if they're this eager to volunteer, it'd be rude to say no. I cleared my throat and nodded with maximum gravitas. Kobold, Chieftain Polacry. Your sincerity pleases me. You shall remember my true name. Su Nyen Vatras Patunak. Become my vassals. This is your supreme honor. My voice built to a thundering roar on my name. I reared up on my hind legs, spread my wings wide, and cast a massive shadow over every kobold in the clearing. Maximum dramatic effect. EK. A cute little yelp came from behind me. I'd completely forgotten Anna was sitting on my back. When I stood up and puffed out my chest, she slid right off my tilted spine and tumbled backward. I whipped my neck around and caught her by the collar with my teeth before she hit the ground, plopped her back on my back, and nuzzled her face apologetically. Dragon, sir. Anna's fine. She hugged my neck and giggled, dimples showing, completely unbothered. Then her face fell. Dragon, sir. The bunny meat. It all spilled on the ground. She sounded so heartbroken about the wasted rabbit. I just handed her the second roasted rabbit I'd already prepared on a fresh leaf. As for the meat on the ground, I had a pack of drooling, starving kobolds right here, didn't I? They were practically vibrating. I pressed one claw at Apollocre's forehead and squeezed out a single drop of dragon blood into his scales. This was the dragon vassal contract, a domineering master-servant bond, but also a gift. Dragon blood would reshape his body, raising his potential and talent ceiling. Then I looked down at my new servant with my most imperious expression and issued my very first command as a dragon lord. Now, Apollocre, as your master, I order you. Take your kobolds and clean up every piece of rabbit meat on that ground. Apollocre nearly cried tears of joy. Not only did the great black dragon accept him, he got dragon blood and leftover rabbit meat. The black scales already starting to grow on his neck and chest had him so excited he wanted to peel them off and frame them. The kobolds devoured the dirty rabbit meat and bones like it was a five-star banquet. For creatures that regularly eat rotten food, floor rabbit with seasoning was basically a religious experience. I could feel a new connection forming between me and Apollocre through the blood bond. Dragon blood is insanely invasive. Creatures that hang around dragons long enough start developing dragon traits even without any ritual. It's basically radiation. That's also why dragons have zero reproductive barriers with other species. Just existing near a dragon slowly turns you part dragon. There are 3 ways to upgrade a vassal. First, just let them hang around you long enough, and they'll gradually transform. Second, give them a drop of heart blood to accelerate the process. That's what I did with Apollocre. Third, the Dragon Vein Ritual, a fancy ceremony for your strongest, most loyal followers. Costs the dragon something, but produces a perfect transformation. I didn't know how to do that yet, and Apollocre definitely hadn't earned it. Anna was watching the whole kobold situation with wide, curious eyes while eating rabbit and feeding me pieces over her shoulder. She'd heard of kobolds, but never seen one. In the elven forest, even the bears wore flower crowns and looked adorable. These raggedy little lizard people with their scrappy gear looked like war refugees by comparison. Dragon, sir, what did you say to them? It looks like they want to be your vassals. Yep. You've got servants now. I twisted my neck and rubbed my snout against her cheek again. I was getting addicted to that. Her baby fat cheeks were impossibly smooth and soft. Pure dragon crack. Too bad I couldn't actually talk to her. Juvenile dragon vocal cords only produce dragon language. I noticed I could modify my voice box, but it had cost 200 system points. After I got settled somewhere new, I'd farm some monster kills and unlock speech. Talking to my SSR was a top priority. Eek dragon, sir. Honestly, I don't really need servants. I have hands and feet. She tried pushing my massive head away, but her little arms had zero effect. Eventually, she just gave up and let me rub my face on hers. When I looked up, the kobolds had finished eating and were sitting there staring at me, waiting for orders like obedient dogs. They wouldn't even move without my say-so. Time to relocate. I grabbed my pathetic belongings from the old cave, 2 gold coins and a pile of romance novels, put Anna on my back, and headed outside. Now, I raised my dragon head and fixed Apollocre with my crimson eyes. Take me to your settlement. I'm done with this dump. I need a spacious, dry new lair. At once, master. Follow me. Apollocre scrambled up and started barking orders at his crew, leading the way through the forest. We crossed the stream where I'd filled my belly with water earlier, wound around a cliff face, navigated a maze of mountain paths, and entered a hidden cave behind some rocks. Master, please follow my exact steps. The path is full of traps. Not that these pathetic traps could ever scratch your magnificent scales. But if one accidentally triggered near you, that would be an unforgivable sin on our part. Smart little suck-up. I appreciated the safe face phrasing. I pulled Anna off my back and cradled her in my retractable claw arm, wrapping her in my wing like a burrito. Only her big, sparkly eyes and fluffy fox ears poked out. She held onto my claw with both hands, looking like the world's most obedient bunny. The tunnel started wide, but got narrower and narrower. Sometimes I had to press my wings flat against my body to squeeze through. After what felt like 100 turns and forks, I was getting dizzy. Then Palakri announced, "Master, this is the Broken Fong tribe, where your kingdom begins." The cave opened up into a space about the size of 2 basketball courts. It was surprisingly well organized. Cooking area over here, sleeping area over there, food storage in another corner. Multiple campfires burned in the center, lighting the whole place. I spotted tons of repurposed human items. Boots cut open and used as containers, metal plates used as shields, human underwear and dresses wrapped around kobold bodies for warmth and bandages. These little guys were actually living pretty decent lives. Scavenging isn't shameful, it's resourceful. Turn trash into treasure, waste nothing. Every kobold in the chamber froze when they saw me, then erupted into excited barking. Woof, 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 echoing off the walls. All of it translating to various flavors of real dragon. A real dragon is here. I spread my wings, flew up to a stone support pillar on the side of the chamber, and perched there with Anna in my arms, looking down at the entire tribe from above. Then I unleashed my most thunderous dragon roar. From this day forward, I, Su Nyen Vatras Patunak, am your one and only master. Give me your loyalty, and I shall give you glory and peace. My thundering dragon roar echoed through the cavern, and instead of cowering, the kobolds went absolutely wild. Some flopped on the ground wagging their lizard tails, some waved their plate shields and rusty dinner knife weapons, some started doing some bizarre tribal dance around the campfire. It was chaos, but the good kind. They were genuinely thrilled to be conquered. I held Anna and thought, if my employees back on Earth had this kind of enthusiasm, I'd have owned the entire Fortune 500. Forget intelligence, the energy alone would carry. Palakri, is this all the kobolds you have? I looked around the chamber more carefully. Most of them were old or young. The few able-bodied ones were wrapped in colorful bandages, some missing arms or legs. Obviously, they'd been through something rough recently. Master, please avenge us. Palakri threw himself on the ground, snot and tears running down his dog-lizard face, and poured out the whole tragic backstory. Turns out the Broken Fong tribe used to be a mid-sized clan of 400 or 500 kobolds called the Dog Fong tribe. They had a big cave system with a silver mine. Then a group of ettercaps, spider-controlling humanoid monsters, attacked with swarms of spiders, stole their territory, took the mine, and slaughtered most of the tribe. Palakri grabbed the survivors and fled here. Ettercaps. I searched my dragon heritage memories. Humanoid spiders, tier 2 on average with some reaching tier 3. For strong limbs, spider heads with compound eyes and venomous fangs. They control spiders using a flute-like mouth organ, can spit webs from silk glands, and have venomous stingers on their abdomen that inject dissolving toxins. Basically nightmare fuel. But I stopped caring about the horror factor the moment I heard one word. Silver mine. Mine means money. Money means buying supplies from traveling goblin merchants. Money means medicine for Anna. Money means sleeping on a pile of coins. Palakri, what kind of mine was it? And how many ettercaps are there? Palakri's eyes lit up. The dragon was interested. He launched into his report. Great Master, our old home, Dogfong territory, was 4 or 5 times bigger than this cave. We had over 100 metal shields like that one, and 200 metal forks, our finest weapons. And we had beautiful female kobolds with elegant figures. Oh, the curves. I blasted a jet of hot air in his face. The steam sent him tumbling backward. Get to the point. Yes, Master. Silver mine. 5 ettercaps. They're spiders. We couldn't count them. Couldn't count or can't count. I didn't press the issue. I ran the numbers in my head. 5 ettercaps, level 10 to 20 each, maybe more by now. The ettercaps themselves weren't the worst part. It was the spider swarms and webs covering every surface. Plus, ettercaps are chaotic evil, nearly impossible to tame, and I was worried about Anna's safety around them. Kobolds are lawful evil. Once they accept you, your people are their people. Ettercaps would eat Anna the moment I turned my back. Worth the fight? My gut said yes. Anna's disease couldn't wait. I'd need money sooner or later, and that human mage might be tracking me right now. I couldn't afford to just eat and sleep like other dragons. Time for a little hustle. I opened my evolution modification panel and found 2 upgrades that were exactly what I needed. Basic Furnace modifies my acid sac to produce biological magma. Lets me breathe toxic fire instead of acid. Cost 1,000 points. Basic Breath Accumulation upgrades my acid sac walls to store breath weapon faster. Cost 1,000 points. Ettercap's Fear Fire. My acid barely scratches their chitin armor. Going melee means getting swarmed by spiders. Converting to Fire Breath was the optimal play. Problem: I needed 2,000 system points, and I was basically broke. Fire Rabbits give 1 to 2 points each. Mountain Wolves give 2 to 3. Silver Moon Wolves give 5 to 6, but are harder. The real payoff was killing humans from the Justice faction, double points. One Tier 2 human was worth at least 15 points. Time to go hunting. I wasn't going to raid innocent villages. I still had enough humanity left for that. But bandits? Mercenary companies? Those were fair game. Polycree, tell me, are there any human bandit camps or mercenary groups nearby? He blinked, confused by the sudden topic change, but answered. Obediently, praise to the great master. There are indeed 2 bandit gangs nearby, and 1 mercenary company called the Bloodline Company. 2 bandit gangs and a mercenary outfit. That should give me enough system points to unlock fire breathing and go take back the silver mine. Time to get to work. Do you know the strength of these bandits and mercenaries? The moment I asked, I realized I was expecting too much from a dog lizard. Polycree just stared at me with those pitiful puppy eyes, mouth opening and closing with nothing useful coming out. Fine. Do you at least know where they are? You're a chieftain. You should know what threats are nearby. What if someone raids your home? Master, what does raid your home mean? Not important. Answer the question. I slammed my claw on the ground, making a metallic clang. Anna immediately hugged my neck and rubbed her little face against me to calm me down. Ever since becoming a black dragon, my temper had gotten noticeably shorter, except around Anna. Polycree flattened himself on the floor, terrified I'd eat him. Apparently some dragons do use kobolds as emergency rations. Are reporting, Master. I know where 2 bandit camps are. The mercenary company moves around between towns for jobs, so they don't stay in one place. Good. Gather your soldiers. We're visiting the nearest bandit camp. Move. That flipped a switch. Polycree started barking orders, and every kobold in the cave scrambled to grab their pathetic weapons. Rusty forks, wooden clubs, kitchen knives, trap-building tools. They wrapped themselves in animal skins and colorful scraps of human clothing. They looked absolutely ridiculous, but there was a genuine ferocity underneath the comedy. Not one of them asked why we were attacking human bandits. Not one hesitated. Their dragon said go, so they go? While they prepped, I worked on my Anna-carrying situation. I got some clean cloth from Polycree, spent my remaining system points modifying my back, grew some small horn-like ridges as railings, patted the flat area with layered cloth, then strapped Anna in snugly like a baby in a cradle. She could lie comfortably without any risk of falling off. She felt the difference immediately. Her thoughts leaked through the mind-reading. Dragon Sir is worried I'll fall off. He changed his own back just to make it comfortable for Anna. So nice. Hee hee. Affection 5. Current 40. Dragon instinct was driving this too. I had this overwhelming urge to keep my most precious treasure either on my body or hidden somewhere safe at all times. Leaving Anna alone in the cave while I went fighting felt wrong in my bones. Better to bring her along and stash her nearby with Polycree standing guard when the action starts. And so, a column of kobolds marched out of the cave swaggering like they owned the forest, followed by a black dragon with a fox-eared elf girl strapped to his back like the world's most adorable backpack. We looked completely insane. The Gale Bandit Gang, led by a guy named Joseph, a level 12 Tier 2 warrior with about 100 bandits under him. They camped in the outskirts of Silver Moon Forest and robbed every adventurer who wandered in. Men got killed. Women got kept for entertainment. Ugly women also got killed. The king was too far away to care, and Joseph lived like a little king himself out here. Joseph was currently in an especially disgusting mood. His men had just dragged in 2 captured adventurers. a Tier 2 male warrior, and a Tier 1 female water mage apprentice. The girl had blue hair, a pretty face streaked with tears, and wore white mage robes. She was a student at the St. Laurent Magic Academy. She threatened them with her sister being an academy instructor, but the bandits just laughed. Out here, academy names meant nothing. Joseph grabbed her hair, lifted her face, and started making the most vile threats I've ever heard, promising to assault her in front of the captured warrior, who was clearly in love with her and screaming helplessly. The bandits were closing in on the terrified girl like a pack of wolves. That's when I arrived. A black shadow streaked across the sky. A crack of thunder like dragon roar split the air, and then a blanket of acid breath rained down from above, covering almost the entire bandit camp, bandits and captives alike, in corrosive green death. No dramatic entrance speech. No warning. No mercy. The black dragon had come. I'd been circling above the bandit camp for a while, watching everything unfold. The moment all those scumbags piled on top of each other rushing toward the girl, they basically grouped themselves up for me. Perfect. They did the hard part of stacking the wave. All I had to do was press R. As for the female mage captive, she wasn't a healer. No utility value. Sorry, but in this dragon's economy, useless adventurers get classified as hostiles too. I glided over and unleashed my first acid breath across the entire camp. Banked hard, circled back, and sprayed a second wave from higher up. Less concentrated, but the splash radius was massive. Acid rain on everyone. Black dragon. Scatter, my eyes. I can't see. Help me, I don't want to die. The acid didn't kill them instantly, but it ate through every piece of exposed skin, especially eyeballs. Blinded, screaming bandits started running in every direction through the forest. And that's when my kobolds earned their keep. They'd set up traps everywhere during our approach. Trip wires, spike pits, poison bugs, oil traps, covering every possible escape route. One blinded bandit stumbled toward a stream he knew from memory, didn't see the hidden tripwire, and face-planted straight into a pit of sharpened stone and bone spikes. A kobold popped out of the bushes with a nasty grin, leaned over the impaled, screaming bandit, and slit his throat with a rusty fork. Then it said something that translated roughly to, when these tall humans lie flat in our traps, they become shorter than us, cold-blooded little psychopaths. I love them. The same scene played out all over the forest. Bandits falling into pits, getting tangled in snares, stumbling into poison traps. Any who survived got swarmed by kobolds pouring out of the bushes. Vassal kills counted as MY kills for system points. Beautiful. I handled the lucky ones who dodged the traps. Simple technique. Swoop down, grab them with my claws, carry them into the sky, drop them. For Tier 1 bandits, the fall alone was fatal. Splat. In under a minute, every single bandit except the leader was dead. 786 system points. Jackpot. I landed in front of Joseph with slow, deliberate steps. He was on his knees, trembling, watching everything he'd built over years get destroyed in 60 seconds. Great true dragon. Please don't kill me. I have money, gold lions. Over 100. They're all yours, just spare my life. He remembered that dragons love treasure. Hope flickered in his pathetic eyes. He raised his head. My claw came down and took half his skull off. Killed Tier 2 human warrior. 11 system points. His body flew backward and slammed into a tree stump. I snorted with satisfaction. Killing genuinely felt good now, at least when the target deserved it. I used one wing to block Anna's view during the messy parts, and scraped the brain matter off my claw on the grass before lowering the wing again. Gotta protect the little fox-eared princess's innocence. The female mage was already gone. 2 direct acid blasts had dissolved her completely. Nothing left but a puddle of black liquid, a mithril staff, and a magic ring. I pocketed both. The male warrior was sitting there with dead eyes, his soul clearly departed even though his body was still breathing. His girlfriend had just been melted into soup in front of him. Buddy, next time don't take your girl on romantic forest adventures. There are perverted bandits and unreasonable evil dragons out here. I killed him too. 16 system points. I felt a tiny pang about that one, but only tiny. Total haul, over 800 system points. The basic furnace upgrade was within reach now. When I flew back to the kobolds, they were having the time of their lives looting corpses. And I mean everything. Weapons, armor, boots, belts, bones. They even took the rib cages. One kobold was proudly wearing a dead bandit's underwear on its head like a helmet. I made a mental note. That specific kobold is permanently assigned to guard duty outside the lair. It is never coming inside my cave. The kobolds also sniffed out Joseph's treasure chest. They're called kobolds for a reason. Anything hidden using physical methods, they will find. Over 100 gold lions, all mine. Polakri climbed onto a rock, struggling to hold up a captured longsword that was bigger than he was, and delivered a victory speech to his troops. We won a grand victory, but all glory belongs to our great master. Dragon scales hardened our skin. Dragon bones strengthened our skulls. Dragon heart ignited our magic. We stand for the dragon. Long live the dragon. Long live our great master. The kobolds raised their looted weapons and howled in unison. In my ears, it sounded roughly like, "Great master, long live." Woof, woof, woof. The kobolds hadn't tasted victory like this in ages. As the weakest creatures in the entire Silver Moon Forest, a tiny clan like Polakri's could normally only hide in caves and pray nothing found them. Their traps were genuinely deadly, but only worked well in tight spaces. Today's win was 90% my acid breath turning 100 bandits into screaming, blind, stumbling targets. After the Gale bandits, I took the crew to visit the second group, the Feral Wolf bandits. Same strategy. Kobolds hide and set traps. I find an opening and spray. But this time the bandits weren't conveniently stacked together. My breath only caught about a third of them, and the rest scattered into direct combat with my kobolds. That didn't go great. These kobolds are barely 2 feet tall and weigh less than 40 pounds. Their weapons could only reach the bandits' lower regions, and while a fork to the groin definitely hurts, it's not exactly lethal. It mostly just made the bandits angrier. We won, but I lost 7 brave kobolds, including Underwear Head. I gave him a solid 0.1 seconds of silence and congratulated his soul on escaping a lifetime of standing guard outside my cave. Kobolds despise all tall humanoid creatures. Polakri spat on a bandit's corpse. Then he quickly added, "But not you, of course, great master," his tail wagging behind him like a fan. The surviving kobolds carried their fallen friends to a bonfire. The ones who'd been close friends started crying, "Woo-woo woof," then through their tears, snapped off a rib bone from the pyre and started eating grilled kobold meat. That's how they mourn, apparently. May these children return to Kurtlemac's embrace, Polakri said sadly. I was sitting nearby studying my modification menu. Honestly, I didn't feel much. If something happened to Anna, I'd be devastated, but kobolds. The dragon pride gene kept me emotionally distant. Not mistreating them already made me a good black dragon by historical standards. Anna, still strapped to my back, watched the sad little funeral with her big eyes glistening. Then she said softly, "Anna believes these kobolds will return to their god's arms, because they were very brave." Every kobold turned to look at her. Nobody spoke, but their gazes toward Anna noticeably softened. Good. She was winning them over too. System, I want the basic furnace modification. Ding. Basic furnace exchanged. Cost, 1,000 points. This modification will be extremely painful. Please protect your throat. I opened my mouth to say, "Bring it on," and a searing, ripping agony exploded from deep inside my throat, specifically from the acid sac, where my breath weapon is stored. It wasn't just pain. It was pain plus the most maddening itch imaginable, both at once, making me want to rip my own throat out. "Dragon, sir, what's wrong?" Anna noticed first. She reached down from my back and started stroking my neck with both hands, trying to comfort me. Sweet gesture. Completely useless against having your internal organs rebuilt from scratch. Roar. Hack. I started coughing violently, spraying acid mixed with dragon blood and something that reeked of sulfur. Anna went white with terror, hugging my neck, tears pooling in her beautiful eyes. Please help dragon, sir," she begged the kobolds, her voice cracking into sobs. "Stay calm. The master appears to be receiving a dragon inheritance," Polakri said in broken common language. He was watching the red light pulsing through my swelling throat, smelling the sulfur growing thicker in the air. He'd never seen this before, but his instincts told him it was a good thing. The modification finished. Inside my acid sac, Brand new bright red cells had grown along the organ walls, producing concentrated magma that fused perfectly with my original acid. The result was a blue-green molten liquid, like hellfire. My throat now glowed faintly blue-green, pulsing with heat, similar to how a red dragon's throat glows orange. A black dragon that breathes fire shouldn't exist. But here I am. I'm fine, Anna, I said instinctively, but it came out as hiss hiss ha hh in dragon language. Right. Still can't speak common. I pulled Anna into my arms and nuzzled her face. She grabbed my head and wouldn't let go, tears streaming down, hiccuping as she cried. D-Dragon, sir, you're the only one. Who's been kind to Anna since she was taken away. Anna has no family left, even though Anna probably won't live much longer. Anna doesn't want to lose you. Affection 10. Current, 50. Status upgraded to close. Second affection milestone hit. Rewards, medium devour. Eating now not only heals me, but actually makes me stronger and accelerates my physical growth, ignoring age restrictions. Plus 3,000 system points. Eating to literally level up. No age limits on growth. I could speedrun my way from juvenile dragon to adult if I ate enough. This SSR card just keeps giving. 3,000 system points just for hitting affection level 50. 3,000. I'd been killing bandits all day, lost 7 kobolds, and barely scraped together 1,300. Anna's affection ticks up once and boom, more than double. This SSR card is absolutely carrying me. And medium devour? Growth ignoring age restrictions? That's completely broken. Normally, a juvenile dragon could never have an adult dragon's power or size. That's like a biological law. The only exceptions are legendary one-of-a-kind species like plutonium dragons or time dragons. But now I can just eat my way to the top. Incredible. I was so happy I licked Anna's face. My big, rough dragon tongue caught her mid-cry, and she just froze, tears still hanging from her eyelashes, completely stunned. I licked her again. She nearly toppled over. With system points to spare now, I immediately bought the voice modification. It finished in an instant, just a tiny throat tickle and done. Simple modifications really are painless. Only the major combat upgrades try to murder you from the inside. And Anna. Anna Hathaway, a rough, raspy young man's voice came out of my dragon mouth. Sounded like a 20-year chain smoker, but it was perfectly clear common language. Anna's eyes went huge, sparkling like stars, the traumatic tongue-licking incident already completely forgotten. Dragon, sir, you can talk now? She threw her arms around my neck and started rubbing her face against my scales, absolutely delighted. Communication through gestures and scratching words in the dirt had been our only option until now. This changed everything. By the way, Dragon, sir, how did you know Anna's last name is Hathaway? Oh crap. Can't exactly tell her I have a system that shows me her full stat sheet, including the festering sore on her thigh. And eventually, when my insight levels up, I'll probably be able to see her. Preferences. Let's not go there. I put on my most serious dragon face. Ahem. I learned it from the king. That's all I know. Oh. She nodded, satisfied. Then she hugged my neck tighter, dimples showing, and asked shyly, then, why did Dragon Sir kidnap Anna? My claw started nervously scratching at the ground. Why does this girl have so many questions? My dragon temper gene flared up, but one look at her adorable face, and my brain flooded with dopamine and slapped the anger right back down. I looked away, paused dramatically, and said with a completely straight face, obviously, to rescue you. Rescue me? That's right. That evil king tied you to a sacrificial altar to feed you to a dragon. Absolutely disgusting behavior. Even though I'm a black dragon, I can't stand that kind of cruelty. So I beat up the original dragon that was going to eat you, took his cave, and carried you to safety. That's why I protected you the whole way and even gave you medicine. Flawless logic. Airtight story. No holes whatsoever. But Anna bit her finger, looked at me with those innocent crystal eyes, and pulled something out from under her dress. Sundara Princess Training Program, Evil Dragon Edition, my romance novel. I almost had a heart attack. I'd been searching everywhere for that when we left the old cave. She'd taken it. She'd been reading it. That book isn't mine. It belonged to the dragon I beat up. I kicked him out and took his cave, so naturally his stuff became mine too. My claw was digging a trench in the ground. Dirt was flying everywhere, practically burying Polycrete behind me. But, Anna giggled, cheeks turning pink. Dragon, sir, Anna saw you reading this book. And when you were reading it, you were making these little her laughing sounds. The trench behind me was now deep enough to be a kobold mass grave. My sweet, innocent, timid little Anna was standing there grinning like a tiny devil cracking a whip. I frantically checked her status panel. Under personality, the timid trait had been replaced. Personality, changing due to dragonification, gentle, obedient, kind, mischievous. When did that happen? And what does my dragon saliva have to do with personality changes? Well, actually, according to heritage memory, creatures that spend time around dragons develop dragon traits, including personality shifts. Red dragon vassals become hot-tempered. White dragon vassals become brainless. Anna had been ingesting my saliva through all that mouth-to-mouth medicine feeding, so naturally, she was becoming a little bit like me. A black dragon personality. Sneaky, mischievous, teasing. I'd created a monster. Of course, I coughed loudly. It was a war trophy. Reviewing war trophies is perfectly normal dragon behavior. Anna nodded sweetly, covered her mouth to hide her giggles, and stuffed the book back under her dress. She was absolutely keeping it. Forever. For a quiet moment, something flickered in her eyes, something soft and private. If she could survive, maybe she really could become the princess in that story, the evil dragon's little princess. She wrapped her arms around my neck and held on tight, like I was the favorite stuffed animal she used to keep beside her bed as a child. Whatever happens next, this moment, warm, safe, and peaceful, was hers. Affection 5, now at 55. I honestly thought Anna would think I was a creep for reading those romance novels. But nope. Affection went up. Women are impossible to understand, whether they're human or elf. The wise men of Earth were right. A woman's heart is a needle at the bottom of the ocean. I nuzzled Anna's cheek, plopped her back on my back, then flapped my wings to blow the dirt off the kobolds I'd accidentally buried alive during my nervous claw-digging episode. Cough hack. Merciful master, please warn your humble servants next time. Polacry crawled out of the dirt pile, spitting sand. He'd been standing right behind me when I was frantically digging that trench. The dirt came so fast the entire kobold squad got buried before they could react. Quiet. We're going back to the den to rest. Take your loot. I need a private cave to process my new dragon inheritance. I put on my most mysterious face. Once I'm ready, we're taking back the Ettercap nest. The kobolds erupted in excited barking. Grief over their fallen comrades blew away like dust. In Silvermoon Forest, things die every second. Sadness is just the background chorus. Combat is the main track. Back in the private chamber the kobolds set up for me, I started planning my upgrades. First priority, basic breath accumulation. My fire breath was my main weapon, but the cooldown was absurd. A full minute to recharge one blast. Adult dragons can basically spam their breath every 10 seconds like a basic attack, because by then they've moved on to dragon language magic as their primary offense. I was still stuck using breath as my ultimate ability. Looking at the breath upgrade tree, I realized I could potentially modify this all the way to insane levels. Other dragons breathe fire? I could eventually breathe annihilation beams. The thought alone gave me chills. System, basic breath accumulation please. Ding. 1,000 points deducted. Modification starting. This one was tolerable. A swelling pressure in my throat. Uncomfortable, but manageable. When it finished, I tested it immediately. My throat glowed bright blue-green, building to a peak. Then I opened wide and unleashed a stream of molten acid fire that filled the entire chamber. The stone walls sizzled and melted where the flames touched, giving off the same vibe as demonic hellfire. This is what a dragon should feel like. My new breath kept the corrosive acid properties and added burning damage on top. Plus my recharge time was cut in half, 30 seconds per blast instead of 60. Now for the fun part, body modification. I was tired of looking like a starving lizard with wings. In my mind, a real dragon should be a hulking muscular beast, not a flying mosquito. I started thinking about the coolest dragon designs from my gaming days. Number 1 pick, Deathwing, Neltharion from World of Warcraft. Demonic head, armor like scales, thick powerful neck, muscles everywhere, and that iconic molten crack running from his throat down his belly to his tail, branching out like burning tree roots. Pure violent beauty. Runner-up, Nidhogg, the despair dragon. Gleaming black scales, vicious back spikes, shadow-wreathed wings that seem to contain starlight. More elegant and mysterious than Deathwing, but equally terrifying. I liked Deathwing more. That physique is what a dragon should be. The ultimate expression of violent aesthetics. I fed the mental image of Deathwing into my custom modification system and waited eagerly. Ding. Calculating modification costs for submitted template. External appearance, 20,000 system points. Internal organ modifications, 1 million system points. Insufficient points. Modification failed, 20,000 just for the looks? 1 million for the internals? I thought I was rich after today. Turns out my system points were pocket change. I sighed, ready to give up on the whole thing, when a new prompt appeared. Insufficient points. Enable staged modification plan. What's a stage plan? The system will divide your modification into multiple stages. Each stage requires partial payment. Installment payments? Interest-free? This system really is my good son, second only to my precious SSR Anna. Enable it. The plan broke down into 4 stages. Stage 1, explosive dragon form, reshape body and muscle distribution. Cost, 1,500 points. Stage 2, advanced scale density, 5,000 points. Stage 3, advanced scale hardness, 5,000 points. Stage 4, new organ, heart of molten flame, 7,500 points. I had enough for stage 1 right now. Start stage 1. I can't wait. The pain hit like a bomb going off inside my skull. Everything went black instantly. While I was unconscious, my entire body was rebuilding itself from the inside out. Bones cracking, shifting, breaking apart, and reforming. Muscles tearing and reweaving around still beating organs. Blood vessels swelling up like fishing nets, bursting through skin, then fusing with new muscle tissue in more efficient patterns. My body actually shrank. Deathwing's design is so perfect it eliminates every bit of wasted bulk that black dragons normally carry. When I finally came to, everything felt different. Tighter. More explosive. Like every muscle was a coiled spring loaded with power. I looked around and thought the cave had gotten bigger. Nope, I'd gotten smaller. But denser. My dragon head was now wide and powerful instead of long and narrow. Short, broad snout, thick jaw muscles, teeth lined up like precision steel needles. My neck was thick and corded with muscle instead of being a skinny noodle. I'd skipped Deathwing's excavator jaw design and put those modification points into my horns instead. A pair of forward-curving demon horns, sharp as scimitars, connected to 3 pairs of backward-sweeping dragon horns. Together they looked like a steel crown fused with a war helmet. Maximum Evil King energy. Best of all, my wings were finally separated from my front claws. 2 independent limbs now. I could grab things and fly. No more choosing between arms and wings. My whole body was compact and muscular. Broad, powerful chest, thick limbs, everything radiating violent beauty. I was the bodybuilder of dragonkind. The system listed the improvements. Total muscle strength, 50%. Bite force, 200%. Speed, minus 10%. Scale defense, 30%. Front limb dexterity, 100%. 10% speed loss was nothing compared to tripling my bite force. And my front claws being fully independent now? Game changer. Deathwing's body really is the perfect dragon template. I stood up, spread my wings, and let out a sinister laugh that echoed through the dark cave. My shadow on the wall looked absolutely terrifying. A muscular beast with a crowned head and spread wings. Khehe. Meanwhile, outside my chamber, Anna had been driving Polakri absolutely insane. Doggy, when his dragons are coming out? Doggy, why are you called dog heads and not dragon heads? Doggy, doggy, doggy. By Curdle Mac above, please calm down, elf child. The master will emerge soon. Polakri was clutching his lizard skull in agony. In 30 minutes, Anna had asked over 100 questions. 98 were about me. The rest were creative variations of, why aren't you called dragon heads instead? They don't want to be called dog heads either, okay? Their bark just sounds like dogs. Dragon head would be way more dignified. When I finally stepped out, Anna's eyes were already glistening with tears. She'd been worried. She hesitated for just a second. My new form was dramatically different. But then she followed her heart and threw herself into my arms. Her soft, Little hands wrapped around my now much thicker neck, her teary face pressed against my scales, and she put on her best fake crying voice. "He dragon, sir. Anna missed you so much." The kobold chieftain yelled at Anna. He was so mean. Wah, I stared at her. Palakri stared at her. And no, master, let me explain. You are K. Palakri turned around and nearly collapsed. My new shadow was towering over him, radiating an oppressive aura he'd never felt before. His little lizard legs almost buckled. His eyes went wide as saucers. Blackhorn crown, demon curved horns, wide terrifying jaws, a body that was slightly smaller but infinitely more imposing than before. He started trembling and prostrated himself flat on the ground, pressing his face into the dirt. His voice shook as he delivered what might be the most dramatic compliment I've ever received. "G Great Master, you are perfection. The sun and moon pale before your eyes. Demons envy your cruelty. The ancient Hydra would tremble at your shadow. Even the gods would fall from their thrones." Every single kobold in the chamber followed his lead, flat on the ground, shaking, barely breathing. Kobold loyalty 10. Current 90. Status reverence/terror. But one person wasn't scared at all. Anna was still nestled in my arms, looking up at my completely transformed face with nothing but curiosity and warmth. Not a trace of fear. I lowered my new terrifying head right in front of her face, slammed both powerful claws into the ground on either side of her, opened my jaws wide, showing rows of needle-sharp teeth, and let out a deliberate low growl. "You're not afraid of me?" She reached up without hesitation and hugged my monstrous head with both arms. She closed her eyes, rested her forehead against my nose ridge, smiled that sweet little smile, and whispered, "Not afraid at all, Anna can feel it. No matter how much you change, you're still Anna's dragon, sir. How do you eat something this adorably soft and sweet?" Asking for a friend. Urgently. Anna's affection didn't go up this time, but I was pretty sure SSS was the one conquering me. This girl is going to be absolutely devastating when she grows up. For now, though, she's still developing, and nutrition is priority one. The system shop sells pure milk for system points. That's not excessive, right? Totally reasonable. And that Lolita dress for 10,000 points. Maybe not yet, but eventually. I shook off those thoughts, put on my serious dragon face, and set Anna on my redesigned back. The new body was way better for carrying passengers. Wider back, a proper recessed seat area with horn ridges as railings, and I could tighten the cartilage along my spine to lock her in place. She could grab the horns for extra security too. Basically a biological car seat. Ideally, I'd build a full cockpit like a fighter jet and go full Gundam Dragon mode, with Anna, my gold coins, and my romance novels all sealed safely inside a 360-degree armored shell. Someday. You think bringing a little girl into battle is stupid? I disagree. My loli only boosts my combat power. If I can't protect her, that's my weakness, not her problem. Her thoughts drifted through. Dragon Sir's back is so comfy and warm. Anna wishes she could be protected like this forever. But Anna's body, she was being gloomy about her illness again. I mentally snorted. I'm a transmigrator with a cheat system. Wrestling someone away from the Grim Reaper? That's just saying hi and shaking hands. No big deal. Time to move. The Ettercaps weren't going to exterminate themselves. We marched into the deep forest, and the landscape changed fast. Dead trees strangled together in twisted shapes, everything draped in thick white spider webs like cursed snow. Dried husks of former living creatures dangled everywhere. The Ettercaps had turned a once lush forest into a graveyard. By Curdle Mac above, "Master, this place is terrifying." Palakri whimpered, looking around at the nightmare scenery. "Don't be afraid. I'm right here. Fear? What fear? I am fear now." Even Anna wasn't scared. She just snuggled deeper into her seat on my back. "Speed up. We're hitting the mine entrance directly. No time to hunt them individually. Once the noise starts, every Ettercap will come to us." Before we even reached the mine, a massive swarm of giant spiders blocked our path. They'd been tailing us the whole time, too scared of my dragon aura to attack, but now we were at their doorstep, and they couldn't hold back anymore. First time they'd ever met an intruder this bold. I looked at the wave of chittering, skittering spiders and felt nothing but contempt. A bunch of level 10 garbage. My chest swelled. My throat ballooned. Blue-green light blazed. The sound was like a jet engine igniting. A tidal wave of green molten dragon fire swept out and swallowed every single spider instantly. They didn't even have time to scream properly before they were killed 57 giant spiders. 312 system points. Beautiful. Instant wipe. One breath. I blew a sulfur-scented smoke ring in satisfaction. My old acid breath could never have done that so cleanly. The burning plus corrosion combo was on a completely different level. The dead trees around us caught fire too. But who cares? This whole area needed purifying anyway. Forward, the kobolds marched behind me with their chests puffed out, strutting like they owned the place, walking back into their former homeland for the first time. Minutes later, the spider web-infested mine looked like the aftermath of a napalm strike. Green flames burning everywhere. Spider corpses littering every tunnel. The whole place reeked of charred protein. 3 ettercaps were pinned under my claws, howling in agony, covered in burns, dark green blood pooling around them. 4 others were already dead, burned alive. One final ettercap was curled up in front of me, shaking like a terrified child. I'd kept this one alive on purpose. I wanted to test my new body's physical strength. I pressed my thick dragon claw onto its ugly spider head and ground down slowly. The chitin cracked and popped under the pressure. Then I blew a jet of hot steam directly into its face. It shrieked and rolled on the ground, clawing at its scalded skin. Enough playing. My iron-hard dragon tail whipped around like a steel flail and slammed into the rolling ettercap. It didn't fly across the room like a ball. It exploded, like a watermelon hit with a sledgehammer. Chunks everywhere. The mine was ours. Green blood splattered everywhere, coating the 3 ettercaps still pinned under my claws. They stopped struggling instantly. 2 choices. Serve me, or become paste. Dragon language has a universal quality. Even creatures that don't speak it can feel the meaning. The 3 ettercaps nodded so frantically they nearly broke their own necks, clawing at the ground hard enough to snap their own fingernails off. Master, these ettercaps are chaotic evil. They probably won't stay loyal, Polacry warned, eyeing their still vicious glares. Then chop off their limbs, cage them, and use them to breed spiders for us. Their spider control organ is in their mouth. Cut it out. I tapped Polacry's head with my claw and transmitted the detailed anatomical info about ettercap organs through our blood bond directly into his brain. Your greatness shines like the sun and moon, he groveled, eyes sparkling with admiration. The crueler and stronger I got, the more these kobolds worshipped me. Beautiful dynamic. The kobolds tied up the 3 ettercaps like pigs on sticks, and we were about to head home when a wave of pressure slammed through my entire being. Something vast and incomprehensible briefly touched the world. Golden text blazed across my vision. The wager begins. All living beings in this world will become semi-digitized. Native creatures who kill chosen ones will gradually level up. Chosen ones will be deployed to starter villages across the prime material plane. World quest generating. Starter villages generating. Chosen one's arrival countdown. 3 days. The message vanished as quickly as it appeared. I stood frozen, staring at the sky. The players. They're coming. 3 days. Anna. Did you see anything just now? Nope, dragon sir. Did something happen? She tilted her head innocently, reaching for my face with her short little arms and failing to reach. A golden flash had swept across every living creature on the continent. When I looked at Anna now, something new hovered above her. A green health bar. 500 HP total, but 450 of those were grayed out, wrapped in crimson thorns. Only 50 points of active health remained, and as I watched, another point ticked away. Before the digitization, her status was just system data only I could see. Now it was real. The world itself had changed. Living, breathing people with health bars floating over their heads like they were NPCs in someone's video game. Rage burned through me. Who was playing with these lives? This world was turned into a game. But it's real. These are real people. Anna is real. Polacry is real. That health bar slowly draining above Anna's head represents a real girl dying. By what right? My fury toward the players, and whatever being stood behind them pulling strings, hit maximum. What's wrong? You look really upset. Anna crawled out of her seat, sweating from just that tiny effort, and wrapped her arms around my head. She pressed her soft cheek against my hard scales and whispered, "Don't be sad, okay? Anna will always be with you, until Anna dies, at least." Her unspoken thought punched through the mind reading and hit me right in the chest. That it's nothing. Thank you, Anna. I feel better. Just remembered something unpleasant. When you're ready to talk about it, Anna will always listen. She smiled, those little dimples appearing like cups of sweet wine. I looked at her for a long moment, then said, my name is Sun Yin. Call me Sun Yin from now on. Sun Yin Vatras Patinak. Okay, hee. Anna looks young, but she's actually an adult. But you're still older, so? Her face turned completely red, the blush spreading down her slender neck. Fox ears twitching with embarrassment. Can Anna call you? Sun Yin Gidge? Or just? Gidge? Of course, then. Gidge? I'm here, hee. Gidge. Her soft, sweet voice echoed through the empty mind as she repeated it over and over, thrilled at having family again. Meanwhile, Polacry and the kobold stood silently off to the side, all of them looking vaguely uncomfortable. None of them had eaten anything recently, but they all reported feeling strangely bloated. The Ettercaps had never cared about the silver mine. They just wanted the spacious, well-built cave system the kobolds had constructed. The mine was untouched. Combined with the 1,000-plus system points from killing spiders and Ettercaps, this should have been a perfect victory. But I wasn't celebrating. 3 days until players arrive. I might be the only native in this entire world who knows what's coming. That this reality has been forced into a game by some cosmic power, and thousands of immortal, respawning invaders are about to flood in. No more lounging around. I settled onto the raised stone platform at the back of the Great Hall, formerly the kobold altar to Kurtlemak, now my throne, and fixed Polacry with a dead-serious stare. Tell me everything you know about every monster territory surrounding us. Draw me a map. I'm going to bring them all under my control. Master, the old chieftain made a map of surrounding monster territories. Let me find it. Polacry scurried off to the storage area. The Ettercaps hadn't touched the kobold archives, but giant spiders had laid colorful eggs all over everything. The kobolds had to pop each slimy egg one by one while trying not to vomit. Not my problem. While waiting, I pulled up my own status panel, now fully digitized along with everything else in the world. Name, Sun Yin Vatras. Race, Black Dragon Variant. Level 30, Tier 3. HP, 60,000. Strength, 300. Attack, 6,000. Constitution, 600. Armor, 6,000. Spirit, 150. Magic Resist, 1,500. Skills, Variant Dragon Breath. Primal Hunting, Dragon Aura, Experience Sharing, 50% of Vassal XP, Fearsome Intimidation. Nothing surprising. These stat screens were clearly designed for the incoming players to read. The natives of this world couldn't see any of it. They'd never know their living, breathing lives were just cold numbers in some gamer's interface. Was this the cosmic being's scheme? Turn real people into data for entertainment? And what about me? If, fate, let me see this information too. The implication was obvious. Use it. Turn the system against the players. Then I noticed something critical. Attributes can be improved through training, not just leveling up. My dragon eyes narrowed. That could be a game changer. Here's the problem. Natives get 0 experience from killing other natives, only from killing players. But players can level up by killing anything, and there are way more natives than players. The resource imbalance was massive. The cosmic beings behind this wanted both sides fighting to the death. That was their bet. But training? That was a loophole. Natives could get stronger without needing to kill players first. Back on Earth, every time I walked past a shopping mall, there'd be some fitness model in a tank top holding flyers. Hey handsome, interested in joining Surge Fitness? Want to sign up for a membership? Well, now I wanted a membership. Not for me, for my entire army. But first I needed to test if training actually worked. I spotted a random kobold cleaning up spider guts nearby. You? Come here. The kobold shuffled over and prostrated itself, trembling under my new intimidation aura. Great master, Hark is willing to serve. I checked his stats. Name, Hark. Race, kobold, black dragon vassal. Level 4. HP, 800. Strength, 4. Constitution, 8. Spirit, 1. Skills, trap setting, cave design, mining, scavenging, howling, pouncing, playing dead. Good lord. I knew kobolds were weak, but this? Strength 4? Spirit 1? His skill list included playing dead and scavenging as actual combat abilities. No wonder they can't even beat same-level humans one-on-one. This was embarrassing on a species level. But if my theory worked, even these sad little creatures could become buff kobold warriors. Hark! You will now run laps around this cavern for 30 minutes. Do not stop. If you stop, I will eat you. I opened my terrifying jaws and breathed sulfur right in his face. Hark collapsed in terror, then scrambled up and started sprinting on his tiny legs like his life depended on it, because as far as he knew, it did. 2 minutes and he was gasping. 5 minutes and he'd slowed to a jog. But he didn't dare stop. The threat of becoming dragon food is an incredible motivator. 30 minutes later, I called him back. He crawled to me. Literally crawled, leaving a wet trail of sweat on the cave floor. He looked like someone had dunked him in a river. Great. And master. Hark. Ran. Crawled. Finished. I checked his stats. Constitution, 8.1, 0.1. HP, 810. Half an hour of intense running raised his constitution by 0.1. It's not much, and the gains would definitely slow down over time. Otherwise, I could just train an army of god-killing kobold bodybuilders given enough months. But the principle worked. Training makes natives stronger without needing to fight players. This was one of the keys to fighting back. I could use this method on myself too. I also gave Anna a lollipop from the system shop to keep her entertained during all of this. Start practicing now, get better at it later. Long-term investment. Raising her right. I let Hark go. He looked at me like I'd just pardoned him from death row. Kobold stamina is decent. A quick snack and he'd be back to normal. Polycree finally came back with the map, trotting over eagerly with his tail wagging. Time to plan the next expansion. Polycree brought me a detailed map of all the monster territories surrounding our base. The deeper into the forest, the stronger the creatures, capping out around level 20 before hitting the Silver Moon Mountains, which the previous kobold chieftain had never been brave enough to explore. From our base, there were 3 monster communities nearby: fire rabbits, cockatrices, and lanceboars. Deeper in lived a gnoll tribe that used to bully the kobolds regularly. Mountain wolves roamed everywhere with no fixed territory, and silver moon wolves were rare. Running into those 3 the other night was basically a lottery event. Each group had its own leader. I stroked my dragon chin and hatched a plan. Polycree, gather every kobold. Grab your tools. We're going rabbit hunting, but not to eat. Find every single rabbit hole and plug them all. Shortly after, I was holding the fire rabbit chieftain by its ears, examining it like I was deciding which end to bite first. My kobolds had surrounded the entire rabbit colony, herding them into a cluster with kicks and knife pokes to any bunny that dared twitch. The rabbit leader was level 3, slightly redder than the others, kind of adorable actually. 150 HP. Its only skills were spitting fireballs and clan command, which let it order around all the other rabbits. Completely useless in combat, but the rabbits bred fast and tasted amazing, so there was potential here. The poor thing had been happily pulling up carrots when suddenly its entire world collapsed. Every escape tunnel, over 100 of them, had been sealed by trap-expert kobolds. Nowhere to run. It stared at me with big red eyes, trying its hardest to look pitiful. Bloodline instinct told it, when outmatched, act cute. Oh, the bunny is so cute. I love it. Anna cooed from my back. The rabbit leader perked up. An elf. Elves are angels. Salvation. Gidge, how are we eating the bunny today? The rabbit's soul left its body. So much for elves being angels. Its ancestors were liars. Anna, we're not eating rabbits today. We're making friends with them. My gravelly, sandpaper voice sang. Making friends probably sounded like a demon whispering sweet nothings. The rabbit did not look reassured. Fire rabbit leader, listen carefully. I force-transmitted my thoughts directly into its tiny brain using dragon language. Starting today, you are my vassal. Every day, you will lead your rabbits on a 5-kilometer run around the kobold base. Then under Polycree's supervision, you will do burpees and sit-ups, 100%, 10 sets. A trained kobold instructor will teach you the exercises. Any objections? It nodded frantically, except I was holding its ears, so, nodding, turned into furious leg-kicking in the air. I pricked my claw and dripped blood onto its forehead. Black scales sprouted on its neck within minutes. Level jumped to 5. It was now officially my shape. From now on, your name is Bugs. Stick with me and you won't regret it. I set Bugs down and gave it a friendly pat on the shoulder. The pat buried it 3 inches into the dirt. After digging itself out, Bugs immediately rallied every fire rabbit and started their first lap around the kobold base. I repeated this process with the cockatrice leader, level 7, renamed Rooster Bro, and the lance boar leader, level 9, renamed Pigsy. Rooster Bro's flock had to run 5 kilometers daily, then hang upside down from trees and do 1,000 pull-ups. Pigsy's herd got it worse because I thought they were too fat. 5-kilometer run in the morning, another 5 at night, plus 500 tree ramming charges and 50 shuttle sprints during the day. The result was the most absurd scene Silver Moon Forest had ever witnessed, a stampede of fire rabbits sprinting in circles around a cave, followed by wheezing cockatrices flapping their wings desperately, followed by grunting, sweating lance boars struggling to keep up. A monster boot camp from hell. I was putting these creatures on the Saitama training plan. 1-punch rabbit. 1-punch pig. The dream. While my monster army was being forged through suffering, I led the kobolds toward the Knoll territory. These weren't going to be recruited with a friendly chat. Gnolls are chaotic, evil savages. Wild humanoid hyena creatures that raid human settlements, slaughter everything, eat the remains, and allegedly used to serve demons. They were proud of it too. My dragon blood contract works best when the target is willing, which meant I'd need to beat these gnolls into submission first. A bloody fight was unavoidable. Master, gnolls are dangerous, Polycrete briefed me. Individually weaker than ettercaps, but numerous and cunning. They used to kill our scouts and eat them regularly. He was clearly thrilled about this mission. Payback time for his people. Their leader is called the Alpha, strongest and most cunning of the pack. It won't reveal itself easily. Look for the biggest one covered in piercings and wearing bizarre trophies. That's your target. Polycrete shared everything he knew. Useful little dog. Time to go introduce myself to some hyena people. With fire. The Knoll tribe had cleared a section of deep forest and built crude wooden huts. No allies. If they got hungry enough, allies became lunch. The moment we approached, patrol squads spotted us. Groups of 5 gnolls surrounded us. Each one about 2 meters tall, muscular, covered in dark yellow fur with hyena-like heads, red eyes, yellow fangs. They carried decent weapons, most of it stolen military-grade human gear. Every 5th gnoll had human skulls dangling from its belt and a snarling mountain wolf on a leash. Elite Gnoll. Level 12. Tier 2. Pathetic dogheads. This is Knoll territory. Either crawl out of our land, or crawl into our stomachs. An elite gnoll stepped forward with its axe raised, drool dripping from its fangs, already in attack stance. The only reason it bothered talking instead of immediately charging was the terrifying black dragon standing behind the kobolds. Polycrete was shaking in his scales, but he puffed himself up and pointed his tiny finger right at the elite gnoll's nose. I'm counting to 3. Get your chieftain out here, or today you all go back to Yeenagu. A 60-centimeter kobold threatening a 2-meter gnoll warrior. It looked like a toddler challenging a professional boxer to a duel. But credit where it's due. Any goblin would have wet itself and collapsed by now. Polycrete had guts. Dog guts, but guts. Dog head. Do you know what you're saying? The gnolls crouched lower, growling, eyes blazing with killing intent, waiting for one word to attack. Polycrete gritted his teeth. 3, 2, attack. Kill them all. The chieftain hasn't tasted dragon meat yet. Today, all gnolls eat dragon. The elite gnoll didn't even let him finish counting. It swung its rusty axe at Polycrete's head. Next instant, a black blur. My tail smashed into the elite gnoll's chest with a thunderous crack. Its ribcage caved inward and its body rocketed backward, smashing through 2 or 3 trees before crumpling to the ground. Legs twitched twice. Dead. Chaotic evil to the core. Won't kneel until they see the coffin. I waded into them like a wolf among sheep, grabbed one gnoll's skull in my claw and crushed it like a grape while it screamed. Brains and bone fragments splattered across my black scales. My arms, horns, tail, everything was a weapon. Any gnoll I so much as grazed was either dead or crippled. Their swords and axes left nothing but white scratches on my reinforced scales. They couldn't even tickle me. By the time Polycrete and the kobolds caught up, the entrance was a carpet of severed limbs, and the air was thick with blood and the smell of gnoll urine. Bodies were still being launched over the wooden walls like garbage being tossed out. A line of blue-green dragon fire cut through the camp, black smoke billowing. The whole settlement descended into absolute pandemonium in minutes. I found the Knoll chieftain inside, lounging on a fur cushion doing private activities with some female gnolls. He barely had time to react before I was sitting on his throne with his skull in my claw. I heard you wanted to eat dragon meat. My raspy dragon voice sounded like a demon from the abyss. My curved horn was pointed directly at his eyeball. Great true dragon, your majesty. I would never have such a ridiculous thought. The Knoll tribe surrenders. We'll be your vassals. No, your slaves. He was terrified beyond reason. In his experience, black dragons were supposed to be scrawny, ugly, stupid losers squatting in swamps eating rotten fish. That kind of black dragon, he could fight. But me? A muscular nightmare with demon horns breathing corrosive hellfire? Just a tiny splash of my breath had melted his hand off. He'd had to chop his own arm at the wrist to stop the spread. Khha. Stop resisting, or I crush your skull. Now, he went limp like a corpse, completely surrendering his mental defenses. I dripped blood on his forehead. Connection established. Your name is now Big Bad Wolf. Starting today, 10-kilometer runs, morning and evening, with all your remaining gnolls. During the day, go to the lance boar territory and lift the boars over your heads. Up and down, 500 reps. Also 1,000 burpees and 1,000 push-ups. He knelt, touching the black scales already growing on his neck. Great master, what are burpees and push-ups? Polycry will show you. I kicked a gnoll corpse out of my path, flew up to the top of their bonfire scaffold, and spread my wings over the entire defeated tribe. Submit or die. The surviving gnolls looked at each other, looked at their kneeling chieftain, and slowly, painfully, lowered themselves to the ground in submission. I could have just walked in and forced the chieftain to sign the contract immediately. But these chaotic, evil creatures wouldn't stay loyal from a handshake alone. I couldn't blood bond every single one. A massacre was necessary to establish absolute dominance through fear. Now somewhere in Silvermoon Forest, the most ridiculous workout program in history was in full swing. Fire rabbits sprinting laps, cockatrices doing pull-ups hanging from trees, lance boars ramming into tree trunks, and now a pack of 2-meter gnoll warriors carrying squealing boars over their heads while doing shuttle runs. The Saitama Monster Fitness Plan was officially operational. 3 days later, morning routine. I came back to the cave with a mouthful of herbs. I tried delegating herb gathering to the kobolds, but their brains are too simple. You could hand them an exact sample, and they'd still bring back the wrong plant. Some things you just have to do yourself. At least my new lair was excellent. The kobolds had built me a spacious, dry cave with hidden ventilation shafts keeping the air fresh. Fresh air was important for Anna's health, so I'd also strictly ordered every kobold to do their bathroom business outside in the forest. Before, they'd been too scared of gnolls ambushing them mid-squat. Now with the whole area under my control, they could poop freely without fear of death. Progress. And a time for medicine. I shuffled over to her, chomping herbs in my big dragon mouth. Same stuff as usual, plus a new one for treating that sore on her leg. Gidge. Actually, Anna can take medicine by herself now. She was sitting on a big fur cushion, confiscated from Big Bad Wolf through friendly negotiation, fidgeting with her fingers, face bright red, foxtail swishing nervously behind her, refusing to make eye contact. I ignored her protest completely, grabbed the edge of the fur cushion, and dragged her right in front of me. You taking medicine yourself, and me feeding you are completely different things. We dragons are treasures from head to tail. Herbs processed through our saliva have enhanced effects. Total nonsense. Delivered with a completely straight dragon face, which always looks terrifying anyway, so who could tell? Anna stopped arguing. She peeked at me once, then lay down obediently on the cushion, tilted her face up, closed her eyes, long lashes trembling, slightly parted her pale lips. Her small fists were clenched though, clearly extremely nervous. The mind reading kicked in at the worst possible moment. Is what Gidge said really true? He seemed so serious. Maybe Anna's overthinking it, but that's basically a kiss. So embarrassing, but Anna doesn't actually dislike it. So embarrassing. He's a dragon, but later he'll probably be able to transform into humanoid form. Looking forward to it. I pretended I heard nothing. She's an adult. She just looks impossibly adorable. I'm a legendary creature. a pure-blooded dragon. Using medicine feeding as an excuse to get a little closer to my precious treasure. What's wrong with that? This has nothing to do with any laws. I am a respectable dragon. Then I glanced at my own claw, and basic insight helpfully informed me. The claw of a variant black dragon whose head is full of perverted thoughts. This skill needs to be deleted. I shook it off, gently tilted Anna's chin up, and went in for the mouth-to-mouth delivery. My jaw was wider now after the Deathwing remodel, making this more awkward than before, but the general principle still worked. Some spillage was acceptable. MMPH, Gidge. Too much medicine. So bitter. Oh right, the new herb for treating sores was extremely bitter. Her eyebrows were scrunched up in misery, so I quickly exchanged some sugar from the system and fed that in too. Still bitter? And not anymore. After the medicine session, Anna lay there on the cushion, face flushed, hugging the little blanket I'd given her, staring at the ceiling with a dazed expression. Something felt different to her, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what. I strutted out of the cave with my chest puffed out, deeply satisfied. Took a long breath of fresh air. My entire being was filled with the sweet taste of Anna's little mouth. I felt alive. Over these 3 days, I'd also conquered a black water python colony, leader renamed Sneaky Snake, killed 3 groups of adventurers who wandered into my territory, and wiped out a mercenary squad that came looking for blood mushrooms. I had about 1,000 system points saved up, but nothing worth spending them on yet. The basic stuff was boring, and the advanced upgrades were still too expensive. Standing on the high ground overlooking my domain, everything was coming together beautifully. All the monster species coexisted peacefully under my rule. Predators like gnolls and pythons hunted regular wild animals for food and left the weaker vassals alone. The half-digitization meant every creature could improve through training, and 3 days of my boot camp had already produced visible results. The fire rabbits had learned to walk upright and grown taller. They were currently learning boxing from Big Bad Wolf. The kobolds were doing push-ups, and Polycre's belly was showing the beginnings of actual abs. Cockatrices were hanging upside down doing pull-ups so fast they were practically shaking the trees apart. Gnolls were doing squats while holding lance boars over their heads. Others were using black water pythons as jump ropes. Some were swinging pythons like lassos to catch lance boars that were doing their tree-ramming drills. It was beautiful, chaotic, insane, and beautiful. I cleared my throat and let out a thunderous roar. Every creature froze and looked up at me. Your progress has been noted. But physical training alone is not enough. As proper monsters, we must also learn culture. We must understand why we fight. I paused dramatically, flashed my most villainous grin, and lied through my dragon teeth with zero shame. In our dragon race there was once a mighty ancient dragon called Baki Yujiro Rex. This legendary dragon pioneer created a profound school of philosophy called the Punch-Fusion Analects to strengthen dragon unity. As my vassals, I will generously teach you this sacred dragon wisdom. But first, we must understand benevolence and righteousness. Being a benevolent monster is the core principle. Benevolence means the art of splitting a person in two. Righteousness means the art of hammering someone's skull into their ribcage. Ruhar. Every monster howled in instant enlightenment, eyes glowing red with murderous understanding. They learned so fast. I'm so proud. Today's first lesson, the master said, he who learns the way in the morning may die content in the evening. Big Bad Wolf, you're the tallest here. Tell me what that phrase means. The Gnoll chieftain stared at me blankly, stammered for half a minute, then managed. Master, does it mean, if we sniff around the roads in the morning, we'll find dead bodies by evening? Wrong. I scraped my claws against the rock with a horrible screech. Listen carefully. It means, if I learn the way to your house in the morning, by evening you are dead. Understood. Every monster nodded with sudden enlightenment, looking at me like I was the greatest philosopher who ever lived. Different species, same appreciation for violent wisdom. I was basking in their adoration when blazing red text exploded across my vision with alarm sirens. Attention. Players descending. Starter villages confirmed. World rules generating. Rule 1. Players deployed in regions worldwide. Starter villages have 1 week of protection. Rule 2. During protection period, any native entering a starter village will be teleported out with memories erased. Rule 3. Treasure chests will spawn worldwide. Humans can open chests for loot. More dangerous areas yield better chests, some guarded by monsters. Cherry Blossom Starter Village 1 has spawned near Morrigan Plains, adjacent to Silver Moon Forest. The red text vanished. A flash of golden light, and wham! A massive golden treasure chest crashed down right in front of me. Wait, I'm the treasure chest guardian? Me? And I'm only worth 1 gold chest? My claws crushed the rock beneath me. I was so offended I almost laughed. Meanwhile, on Waterblue Star, a parallel Earth, things were about to change forever. In a high school bathroom in the Cherry Blossom Nation, a group of bleach-haired bullies were beating up a chubby kid named Haruta Mitono. The lead bully, Yamamoto, spat on his face, threatened to publicly humiliate him, and swaggered out laughing. Then an electronic voice spoke in Haruta's head. You have been chosen. The world wager game has begun. As a player, you will invade another world. If players successfully conquer it, that world becomes the sacrifice instead of Waterblue Star. If players are expelled, Waterblue Star is sacrificed. Sacrificed worlds are typically destroyed. Time limit, 10 Earth years. Rules followed. Players can't log out until death. Respawn timers double each time. Game time flows 10 times faster than real time, and dying in the World Plaza means real death. A blood-red hourglass appeared in the sky above every nation on Waterblue Star. A countdown, 315,359,998 seconds. A booming voice. All chosen ones, please enter the game. Flash of white light. And Haruta was standing on a vast green plain with snow-capped mountains in the distance and a lush jungle on the horizon. Everything felt completely real. No VR glitchiness. This was a living, breathing world turned into a game. He opened his player interface, world map, forums, party system, sensory adjustment, quest system. No logout button. It was all real. More golden flashes. More players appearing. Hundreds. Including Yamamoto, his bully, looking around cluelessly. Haruta shrank behind the crowd, but something was changing inside him. He thought about his pathetic, ordinary life, his looks, his weight, his broke family, all those games he'd mastered alone in his room. He was a nobody on Earth. A punching bag. A lonely gamer whose only girlfriends were fictional. Am I going to be a worthless loser here too? He looked at Yamamoto through the crowd. His eyes hardened. Never again. Games were his domain. He'd conquered countless virtual worlds. This was just another one. Everyone who bullied me, mocked me, spat on me. Your turn is coming. World wager? Destruction? I don't care about any of that. I just want to be a player. An invader. And now, it's my turn. He pushed up his glasses, eyes gleaming with something between madness and determination. A system announcement rang out for all Cherry Blossom 1 players. Player deployment complete. You have 7 days to build your starter village. The green zone on your map is safe for exploration. After 7 days, the safe zone disappears. A sturdy village is your best hope for survival. Enjoy the game. The countdown had begun, and I was sitting in my forest, staring at a golden treasure chest that had literally fallen from the sky onto my doorstep, knowing that somewhere on the nearby plains, hundreds of immortal, respawning invaders had just appeared. 3 days of peace were over. The real fight was about to start. Over on the player's side, some chubby kid named Haruta was already getting into character. He found piles of wood and stone on the plains, pre-placed building materials for constructing their starter village. Players could control the blocks with their minds, stacking them like magical Minecraft. 2 stones placed together fused into one solid piece, completely immovable. Each player got 100 units of wood and 100 of stone to build their personal house, with 500 invasion points as a reward for finishing. Fascinating. Also completely irrelevant to me right now, because I had problems. I'd already picked the lock on my golden treasure chest. Being the guardian monster doesn't mean I can't pick my own lock. Thank you very much. But inside, nothing. Empty. Turns out the chest only generates rewards when a player opens it. It's just a delivery container. So let me get this straight. I got transmigrated into a dragon. I'm fighting for my life every day. And now the cosmic powers want me to sit here guarding a treasure chest for players to loot? Guard this. I stared at the empty chest, and a beautiful, evil idea bloomed in my dragon brain. Big Bad Wolf, Sneaky Snake, all of you. Your territories had treasure chests too, right? Bronze, iron, whatever. Bring them all to me. Polakri, bring your bombs, poison gas traps, everything you've got. They want me to guard treasure chests? Khehe. 15 minutes later, I had over a dozen chests of various grades piled in front of me. I'd tested them and discovered something wonderful. Time is frozen inside closed chests. I could put living things inside, and they'd be perfectly preserved until the lid opened. I started loading my gifts. Wooden chest, too small for anything fancy. A few king hornets should do. Iron chest, venomous snakes. One's not enough. Two. Actually, sneaky snake, go catch me a few dozen more. The most toxic ones you can find. Bronze chest, perfect size for a triggered poison gas trap. Let me add some personal seasoning. My acid fire breath should do nicely. Silver chest, bombs. Fill it with bombs. All bombs. Polakri, go dig up what your kobolds produced this morning. Yes, that. Pack it in there. Hurry up, the golden chest I kept for later. One-of-a-kind bait deserves a special occasion. Once every chest was properly loaded with my heartfelt gifts, I led the whole crew toward Cherry Blossom Starter Village 1, carrying our booby-trapped presents. Since the world went semi-digital, I'd gotten a world map too. Most of it was covered in fog of war, but starter villages showed up as bright red dots. I zoomed out and saw the entire southern continent peppered with thousands of them. The sheer number of players being deployed was staggering. I could only affect the few villages near me. Everything else was beyond my reach for now. The starter village sat on the plains outside Silver Moon Forest, but its green protection dome extended almost to the forest edge. I sent a kobold to test it. The instant it stepped inside the green barrier, it got teleported back out, with its memory wiped. Came back looking confused, no idea what just happened. TCH. What an unfair war. Players start weak, but there are thousands of them, and now they get 7 free days to build up with 0 risk. But I knew players. I was one, not long ago. Players are explorers by nature. They won't just sit in their base building houses for a whole week. They'll see this vast, empty grassland, spot the mysterious forest on the horizon, and think, I wonder what's in there. Silver Moon Forest would be irresistible. And scattered throughout the forest edge, hidden in bushes or placed casually in clearings. Perfectly natural-looking, totally not suspicious treasure chests, waiting to be discovered. Hide these in the undergrowth around the forest border. Not too obvious. Make it look natural. Leave 1 or 2 in the open as bait. My monsters didn't understand what I was planning, but they followed orders. Chests scattered. Traps set. Now get back and keep training. No slacking. I cracked my knuckles, all 20 of them, and let a cold, vicious grin spread across my black dragon face. My gifts were ready. Now I just had to wait for the players to unwrap them. While I was busy planting booby-trapped treasure chests around the forest edge, the players were getting settled on the other side of the green barrier. Over in Cherry Blossom Starter Village 1, building houses turned out to be stupidly easy for the players. The system let them stack pre-cut wood and stone blocks like building toys, place them with your mind, and they automatically fuse into solid structures. Some smarter players were already constructing walls and arrow towers around the perimeter. That chubby kid Haruta was working alone in a quiet corner. While the other players were socializing and marveling at the magical world, he was grinding in silence. He solo built an arrow tower for 1,000 invasion points, then a section of wall for 500 more. Combined with his house, he had 2,500 points total. He opened the invasion point shop. Equipment section had 5 items: militia armor set, militia weapon set, a mage staff, mage robes, and a priest hammer, all 500 points each. The last 3 required a class change to use properly. This kid's eyes lit up when he realized, this world has magic. He could become a mage. Left-hand fireballs, right-hand lightning. The dream of every novel-reading nerd. He checked the upgrade shop. Class changes were available at level 5 for 1,000 points. Warrior, mage, or priest. He was already level 5 from all that building. Without hesitation, mage. Bought a staff. His stats reorganized around spirit as his primary attribute, and he got 3 starter skills: fireball, light, and appraisal. He threw on militia leather armor since his low strength couldn't handle anything heavier, bought some bread and water, and headed out to explore. I'm going to be the strongest mage. Then find a succubus wife, an elf wife, maybe a human princess too. He muttered to himself as he left the village. The safe zone was a vast plain dotted with bushes and small woods. Plenty of room for 5,000 players to explore without bumping into each other. Most creatures were just regular animals, nothing worth wasting precious mana on. Before sunset, he found a small hill with a cave. He cast appraisal on it. Black Bear Den. Due to unknown reasons, the bear won't return for 7 days. The bear was obviously pushed out by the safe zone barrier, and an elite monster's lair usually meant treasure. He crept inside, cast light, and there it was, sitting on a stone ledge at the back of the cave. A black iron treasure chest. Yes, he needed a key though, 200 invasion points. Normally you'd get the key by killing the bear, but the bear was on forced vacation. He paid up, jammed the key in, and turned. The chest popped open with a flash of white light. Something shot out and smacked him in the face. A Tier 1 Ice Mage skill scroll, Ice Spike. His fat hands trembled holding the scroll. His first instinct was to screenshot it and flex on the forums, maybe sell it for a fortune. Then he remembered. This game probably allowed PvP. Showing off rare loot was painting a target on your back. He ripped the scroll open and learned the skill immediately. The world's about to end. Stop trying to profit and start trying to survive. Get stronger. Live better. Stop being pathetic. He psyched himself up, left the bear cave, and stared at the shimmering boundary of the safe zone just ahead. Beyond it, the real world. Real danger. Real monsters. He hesitated for a moment. Then he stepped through. Somewhere in the Silver Moon Forest, I was watching from my high ground with a cold grin. The safe zone border was right at the edge of MY territory, and scattered through the bushes and clearings just beyond that green line, my lovingly prepared gift boxes were waiting. Hornets, venomous snakes, poison gas traps laced with my acid fire, and enough kobold-crafted explosives to rearrange someone's anatomy. Come on in, players. Your presents are ready. I wasn't there to see it personally, but thanks to my vassal bond with Bugs the Fire Rabbit leader, I got to feel the satisfaction secondhand. The first player to wander out of the safe zone was some chubby kid with glasses and a mage staff. The moment he crossed the barrier, my kobold scouts spotted him, but I'd given strict orders. Don't attack. Just watch. Let the treasure chests do the talking. And wouldn't you know it, the kid found one of my wooden chests almost immediately, tucked right there in a bush, looking perfectly natural. He opened it. A piece of dried beef shot out. Legitimate loot. Actually useful. Gives one strength on first consumption. But right behind the beef came 5 king hornets, buzzing out of the chest like furry little missiles. The kid screamed and threw the whole chest away. Then he started wildly swinging his staff around casting fireballs. To his credit, he killed all 5 hornets, but burned through most of his mana doing it. Then he started crawling around in the bushes looking for the beef he'd dropped. That's when he met Bugs. My fire rabbit leader was standing there upright on 2 legs, arms crossed, half a meter tall, with visible biceps starting to form from 3 days of nonstop training. Bugs had a look in his eyes that said, I've done 1,000 burpees and I'm not afraid of anything. The kid checked Bugs' level 5, same as him, and figured he could just bonk a rabbit with his staff. Easy kill. He swung. Bugs caught the staff with one paw. Then with the other paw, Bugs slapped him across the face so hard a tooth flew out. Minus 53 HP. From a rabbit. If the kid understood rabbit language, he would have heard Bugs squeak. He who learns the way to your house in the morning, by evening you die. My punch fusion teachings were already bearing fruit. I was so proud. The kid spat blood, got angry, and squared up in some kind of sumo stance, screaming about how he wouldn't be bullied anymore and challenging the rabbit to an honorable duel. Bugs was not interested in honor. He clapped his little paws together. The bushes rustled. Over 1,000 fire rabbits emerged from every direction, all standing upright, all with that same cold look in their eyes. One rabbit walked up to Bugs, stuck a rolled cigarette in his mouth, then lit it with a tiny fireball from its own mouth. The rabbit bowed and stepped back into formation. Bugs took a drag, blew a smoke ring, just like I taught him, fixed his gaze on the terrified player, and let out a sharp battle squeak. 1 minute later, the kid respawned back at the village, having been slapped to death by 1,000 rabbits, each one landing one clean hit across the face. A conveyor belt of bunny violence. From what I gathered through the bond, the experience was deeply humiliating. The best part? The kid ran into his bully at the respawn point, who mocked him for dying. But the kid didn't say a word about the rabbits. He just walked away with murder in his eyes, waiting for the bully to wander out there himself. My training program was working beyond expectations. 3 days of Saitama level exercise had turned basic level 3 fire rabbits into monsters that could slap level 5 players for 30 damage per hit. That's not normal for starter zone creatures. The stat gains from physical training had turned my weakest vassals into player-killing machines. And these were just the rabbits. Wait until they find the snake chests, or the poison gas chests, or the ones packed with explosives and kobold feces. Sitting on my high ground overlooking the forest, I cracked my claws and let out a low, satisfied chuckle. Welcome to MY server, players. Plenty of brave players were stepping out of the safe zone now. Not just that chubby mage kid. All kinds of people were feeling adventurous.